Hello, glad to see you on my channel. I really value it. And today I want to share with you a wonderful story. It's a dramatic story that will come as a total shock to everybody. It is a really amazing story. So enjoy watching it.
Hi, are you coming or not? She called him on the phone. I told you no, he replied sharply. You could hear that the man was annoyed. Why? She started crying. You still have not realized that, between us, everything is over. In his voice, there was not a single drop of sympathy. And what about debts, credits? She asked, because she realized that she could not cope alone. Those are your problems, he said. Why mine? She couldn't understand. I've said everything. He didn't want to say. Please don't hang up, she begged him. I don't want to talk to you, he was calm. If you do, you'll never see your child again. She tried to manipulate that. Ha ha ha, you made me laugh. He laughed into the phone. What, you don't care about that either? It was completely incomprehensible to the woman how a person could be so heartless. I repeat for the 1001st time, I do not want to communicate neither with you, nor with the child. If when he grows up, he wants to communicate with me, then please. Otherwise, live and be happy. Now it was clear that the man does not care about anything. Neither the child, nor money, nor she herself will not stop him. Goodbye, she said. Bye, he hung up. Sam and Anna met in Turkey. She was going through a divorce. Her husband was not the man she wanted, the man she dreamed of. They had no children, so the couple divorced quickly. Then Anna was even happy about this circumstance, because in recent years everything was not like this. She really wanted to part with the man, but he loved her and did not leave. One day, she came home from work. Her husband was sitting in the kitchen. And when she went there, he didn't look her in the eyes. Only after she asked him what was wrong, he told her that he had met someone else and had to leave. At that moment, Anna made sad eyes. But in her heart, everything was jubilant. When they received a certificate of dissolution of marriage, she immediately went to a travel agency and bought herself a trip to Turkey. How good it is here! The girl went out on the balcony in the morning. She looked at the sea and knew that in a few minutes she would be there. That day, she took a cocktail and lay down on the sunbed. Could you help me? She heard a man's voice. Yes. She lifted the hat that covered her face. Please put some cream on my back. Stood in front of her, a handsome, swarthy man. Is there no one else to help? She smiled. I'm sorry if I'm stressing you out so much. He shrugged and wanted to move away. Come on, I'm kidding. She took the cream from his hands. Sorry about that. He turned his back to her. Wow, that's a lot of muscle. She creamed him. 4 workouts a week. The young man admitted to her. My name is Anna. What's yours? She started talking cheerfully to him. Sam, he turned to her. Very nice, the girl surprised herself. Usually she never entered into conversations first, never got acquainted with men. But here, she didn't know why. She started to get acquainted. Thank you. The young man took the cream from her hands. You're welcome. You're welcome. She smiled again. Then she took her place on the sunbed again and covered her face with a hat. The sun was shining. It was very nice. Anna, excuse me, she heard the same voice again. It had only been about 15 minutes since they had last talked. Yes, she brushed the hat off her face. Would you like a refreshing drink? He looked at her glass, where the cocktail was already finished. Thank you. I wouldn't say no. She realized that the young man was starting to flirt with her. The girl rolled over onto her stomach and watched as he went to the bar, saw the bartender making cocktails, and Sam walked back to her. I don't know which one you like. I picked my own. He handed her a glass. You know, this is good, don't you think? She sipped the liquid from the tube. The coolness felt in her mouth. Yes, he looked away. Are you here alone? Anna had wanted to ask him that a long time ago, when she'd smeared cream on him, but she'd been too shy to ask. But now, since he had already started paying attention, it was necessary to know for sure. Yes, he looked at her. And I'm alone too. She didn't mean anything by it. At the moment, the girl was thinking not about relationships, not about men, but just about taking a break from everything she had in her past life. Why don't we go out on the town tomorrow? Sam suggested it. Well, if you're inviting me, I guess I'll agree. Anna didn't understand herself because she kept smiling and averting her eyes. I guess it's a woman's nature, of that the girl was sure. It's lunchtime, let's go, gave Anna a hand to a new acquaintance. Let's go. She emphasized the last syllable, making it clear that now they addressed each other on the first name. Good. He understood her hint. I called you for lunch, and I did not even specify in which hotel she stayed. And you think because we're on the same beach, we're in different hotels? She laughed. Sometimes I go a little to the left, right along the shore, and there is soft sand. The water is cleaner. He showed her where he goes. Yes, yes. Everywhere is good where we are not, she smiled again. They were really vacationing in the same hotel. When they came to the territory, most people were already sitting at tables in the restaurant. Into the shade, Sam suggested to her. Let's go, she agreed. The young man and the girl walked over to where the awning stood. They sat down at a table, left their things there, and then went and got their plates and began to choose what they wanted for lunch today. How long have you been here? I'm sorry, have you been here long? He corrected himself. Second day, she said. And I've been here practically a week, he admitted. If it's no secret, why did you come here alone? Asked the girl. Now she didn't care. They were from different cities. In a few days he would leave here, and they would never meet again. Why are you asking this question? The young man was depressed. Anna noticed it immediately. Just wondering. She turned in the direction where the sea was. It became somehow uncomfortable. A month ago I had a girlfriend. We were getting ready to get married, he began to tell her. Anna saw that he had put the instruments aside. If it's hard for you to tell it, you don't have to tell it, she snapped back immediately. No, I think someone needs to talk, he looked up at her. Okay, then I'm listening, she agreed. I proposed to her, I bought a ring, we went to my parents' house, everything was as it should be. I don't know what happened, but 2 weeks before we were supposed to get married, she came to see me and told me she could marry me. He sighed, took a glass, and drank some water. Why didn't you check with her? Anna had heard that such stories happen, but she didn't think that a girl could refuse to get married like that. Usually young people did it. I asked her, begged her to explain, but not only did she refuse to marry me, she said she wouldn't see me again. Sam turned away. Anna thought he was ready to cry. Well, nothing. Things will get better. She put her hand on his. Yeah, I feel a little better. He pulled his hand out from under the girl's arm and put it on top of hers. Don't, she pulled it away. With her gesture, Anna just wanted to show support, and what he meant, she didn't know. Okay, enough about me, he seemed to come to his senses. Why are you here alone? I'm celebrating my divorce, she said cheerfully. You mean you and I have two identical stories? I was dumped by a girl, you divorced your husband, but if I suffer, you rejoice, right? He concluded. You are absolutely right. She took a glass that stood on the table, and even though there was water in it, but the girl raised it as a toast. The whole day the couple spent together, they talked about everything. Apparently Sam, as well as Anna, thought that here in another country, next to a man who lives in a completely different city, you can talk about everything. Well, see you all later. He walked her back to her room today. Okay, she walked into the room, held onto the doorknob, and looked at him so much that it sent shivers down Sam's spine. The next day he was waiting for her at the front desk of the hotel. Anna came out of the elevator. She was wearing a long white dress and the same hat with big brim. Hi, Sam walked up to her. He was looking at the girl and he definitely liked her. Hello, they hugged a little. You're so beautiful, he told her. and they headed for the exit. "You embarrass me," Anna admitted to him. "You see, I loved my girlfriend so much. We were together for many years. I dreamed of proposing to her, and I did. And when she left me, I was so crushed. I thought I would never love anyone again. I couldn't even look at the other girls. They were walking to the bus together." Sam talked but didn't turn to her. "Why are you telling me this now?" She guessed to herself what the young man wanted to tell her. "Yesterday at the beach, I really couldn't use the cream. I didn't approach you on purpose. Before that, I didn't think about it. But when my shoulders started to hurt, I realized that I couldn't do without cream." He jumped to another topic. They'd reached the bus, now standing there. Turned around, either couples or men. "Well, you can imagine what it would look like if I had a man rubbing my back, so I came over to you." He continued his theme, and as if excused himself. "Okay, bygones," Anna smiled. They went into the bus, sat down next to each other. "You see, yesterday, when you and I were walking and talking, I realized that I haven't lost interest in girls." He took her hand in his, started to look at her manicure. "Sam, don't do that," Anna asked him and pulled her hand away. "Okay, if you don't want me to, I won't do it." He put his hands on his knees and started looking forward. Anna, on the other hand, looked out the window and wondered how much you could trust a man at a resort. On the one hand, he's handsome, but on the other hand, he's probably doing all this to seduce her, and nothing more. And the story that the girl left him, maybe to make him feel sorry for her. The girl shook her head and continued to listen to the guide. "I liked it," Anna said when they got back. "It was okay." So, it was obvious that Sam was not the first time in this country. "If you didn't want to go, why did you invite me?" she asked him. "I just wanted to spend time with you." He walked very close. "Good." They reached the elevator. "Where are we meeting tonight?" he asked. "Shall we go to the beach?" the girl suggested him. "Okay," agreed the one. Half an hour later, she was ready and was waiting for him downstairs. After he came down, they headed to where it was very nice. The rest of the days before he left, Sam never left Anna's side. He complimented her, told her stories. The girl liked it all very much. "I'm leaving tonight," Sam told her. "Too bad. It was nice talking to you," Anna told him. "I hope we won't stop talking." He looked at her with surprised eyes. "Of course not. You have my phone number, my mail. Please write whenever you want." Today, all day long, they did not leave each other's side. Anna couldn't tell what her feelings were for this man. Yes, she liked him outwardly, and as it seemed to her during this time. As a man, he was also good. But here she still wouldn't give vent to her feelings or her desires because she was afraid that he was just divorcing her. When Sam's bus arrived, they walked down to the hotel together, and now Anna gave him her first real hug. "Bye." She looked into his eyes. "Bye." Sam was hesitant at first, but then he pulled her against him and kissed her cheek. "Right," she said and waved him off. Anne had a couple more days to rest, and then she too would be leaving for her home. The girl waited for him to write to her, but Sam was silent. Thus, he let Anna know that she was right in her suspicions. 2 weeks after the vacation, when she was at work, a message came to her phone. She opened it and saw that it was him. The young man wished her a good morning. "Hi," she texted him. "Sorry, it took me so long to write. I just didn't have time. I was sorting out my problems," he answered her. "Yes, I had things to do too." He had to text her because she didn't want to say that she was waiting for his call. "Can we get together?" he asked. How do you imagine it? There was a distance of many kilometers between their cities. "On weekends I can come," he offered options. "If it will be convenient for you, come, I'll show you our city." She was pleased to communicate with this man. "Well, write the address. Saturday morning I will be," he promised. Anna wrote in a reply message all that he asked her. After that, the young people said goodbye. The working day continued. There was enough time before the weekend to get ready. Anna did a general cleaning of the house, bought herself a new dress, went to the salon, had a haircut. "Girlfriend, I don't recognize you. Are you in love again?" Natalie looked at her. "You know, I did not tell anyone this, but on vacation I met a young man. His name is Sam. On Saturday, he comes to visit me. They sat in the evening at her house." Don't you know how resort Sam's end? Was surprised by her friend because she knew Anna. She had always been modest and never gave any reason to think ill of herself. "I also thought so at first when he hit on me and said compliments, but now he will come and everything will become clear," Anna was sure. "Why he's coming to you and not you to him? Haven't you thought about it?" A friend was checking Anna. "Listen, what difference who goes to whom there? On vacation was one thing, now a simple life, it will immediately become clear whether he is a good man or not." Anna wanted to talk about something else, but the friend led the topic in another direction. "Okay, it's up to you. You'll tell me later," Natalie laughed. After that they talked about a lot of things, and the girl went home. It was Friday night, so Anna was a little worried that Sam would be arriving tomorrow. Early in the morning, while she was still asleep, the doorbell rang. Anna opened her eyes. Everything inside was shaking with excitement. She went to the door, opened it, was in one simple robe. Hair not styled, eyes not put on makeup. The girl opened the door. Behind them stood the man they had last seen in another country. "You weren't expecting," he guessed, because it was still early morning. Sam had done it on purpose to be with the girl longer. "Come in." She opened the door wider. He stepped into the hallway and they hugged. While Anna got ready, washed up and made breakfast, he watched her. "I'm sorry, I didn't greet you with bread and salt," she turned to him. "What are you talking about? It's okay." He didn't want to embarrass the girl. After she was ready, they packed up and went outside. "So unusual," she laughed in the yard. "What are you doing?" He couldn't understand what was wrong with the girl. "It's 10 o'clock in the morning, and you and I went for a walk," she explained to him the reason for her laughter. "So, what difference did it make what time to go out for a walk?" Sam shrugged. They walked along the main street. Anna told him what was here, since it was Sam's first time in this city. After that they went to a small cafe, because it was already lunchtime. They had a snack there and afterward they went to the museum. Sam thought it would be boring, but as it turned out, he even liked it. In the evening they returned home. On the way they went to the store, bought groceries and wine. Anna prepared a light dinner. Sam opened a bottle. The girl put the chicken and potatoes in the oven, said she'd be right back, and went to the bathroom. She stood in front of the mirror and wondered if he was going to stay over tonight. It was unusual because their relationship was not yet a relationship, and she had the same bed. Anna came back to the kitchen and saw that there were plates on the table and wine in the glasses. He took a glass from the table and handed it to her. Anna took a sip and looked at the young man. "Sam, this will certainly be indelicate, but I have to ask you," she mewed. "Go ahead," he waited. "Will you stay at my place tonight too?" At this point she blushed. "You know," he circled the kitchen with his eyes and was silent, and I did not even think about it. This answer caused Anna's mind to think even more. She began to think about the fact that he purposely didn't think about it so he could stay the night with her. "I certainly don't mind," sat down in Anna's chair, "but I only have one sleeping place." With this statement she hinted to him that they would definitely not sleep together. "If you put me on the floor, I can fall asleep even here," he pointed at his feet. "Okay, we'll figure it out." Anna found out that he was indeed staying at her place. Dinner went fine. They talked again, but all the talk boiled down to how they vacationed in Turkey and how they spent the day today. "Tell me about yourself." She put her elbows on the table and rested her head on her hands. "There's not much to tell. I was born in a small town. I left there a long time ago. I rented an apartment, worked. You already know about the girl." He lowered his eyes. "Why are you talking about everything in the past tense? She didn't understand. Anna, the fact that I liked you, you already know, and I did not write to you these few weeks because I wrote an application for dismissal. I was working my ass off. I didn't want to scare you off, but I moved out of my apartment, I quit my job, I came to your city, and I think there will be a job and a place for me here. I'll rent, believe me. He was very emotional, but Anna sat looking at him with big eyes. Where are your things? He came to her without everything. At the station, in the luggage room, the girl was speechless. She just sat and was silent. All right, she finally answered. You do not think anything. Tomorrow I will rent an apartment and start looking for a job. He took her hand in his. Don't. As always, she pulled it away. When it was time to go to bed, she pulled out of the closet the air mattress they'd gone to the lake with over the summer. Sam inflated it and made it very comfortable in the same room where the girls slept. In the morning, they looked at the apartment ads in town together. There were a lot of them, and some of the options were very even budget. Will you come with me? Sam asked her, when they had already agreed with another landlady. If you don't mind, I'm ready. The girl smiled. They went outside, reached the bus stop, and got on the bus, drove off. At the place were in a few minutes. The apartment was one room with furniture. Everything was cozy. I like it, Sam said. Me too, Anna agreed. He paid for 2 months in advance and suggested that the girl go to the train station. The things were indeed there, 2 small bags. That's all I managed to accumulate, he laughed, showing them to Anna. Yes, I imagine, if I went to your city and decided to take my things, I would have to go back and forth more than once, she laughed too. They drove back to the apartment Sam had rented to put his stuff away. Shall we go out to eat? Sam asked her. Why don't we go to the same cafe we went to yesterday? Anna suggested it. There we went. The day passed on a positive note. In the evening, Sam went home. He had to go to work on Monday. Anna walked there in high spirits. She knew that now in this city, she had not only a friend, but also a friend. Natalie, hi, she called her friend. Hi, so how's the friend? She asked first thing. Would you like to have lunch with her today? Anna suggested it. Yes, Natalie said. She was curious to see who Sam was. When they met at lunchtime and went to the nearest fast food place, Anna told her everything. How they'd spent the first night, how they'd rented an apartment for him, and that he was now looking for a job. Nothing. How abrupt he was, Natalie said, wondering how a man could decide and change things so quickly. I don't know. If I had the opportunity, maybe I would have changed something, Anna said thoughtfully. Oh, my friend, you're completely out of your mind after the divorce, Natalie twisted her finger at her temple. Well, we'll see what happens next. Anna didn't even want to remember about her divorce. But do you like him at least? Her friend smiled. I'm afraid to admit it to myself, Anna answered honestly. Why? Natalie didn't understand her. I still have a feeling inside that he wants to deceive me, she confessed honestly. Oh, so you were thinking about it after all, her friend wagged her finger. Of course, they laughed together. After lunch, Sam wrote to say that he had called 3 institutions and would have his first interview today. I wish you luck, Anna replied to him. Hope to meet you tonight, the young man wrote. Anna wasn't against it. She would have offered to meet him herself, but since he did it first, she agreed. Anna had nothing else on her mind right now. Only Sam was on her mind. He came every night, brought some gifts, flowers, said beautiful words. After a month, she gave up. When Sam walked her to the front door, she suggested he come over. He had been in this apartment more than once, so he knew everything about it. They went into the kitchen. The girl went to the stove and put the kettle on. At that moment, Sam came up behind her, put his arm around her waist, and kissed her neck. What are you doing? She turned to him. I really like you, he told her. I like you too, she answered. When 2 months passed, for which Sam paid, He offered the girl not to waste any more money in vain and move in together. Even if your apartment is small, but we have enough space, he told her. Of course, she had wanted to live with him for a long time. Sam had moved his things in, and now they were practically a family. The young man had a few part-time jobs. Somewhere he'd go out to unload something. Somewhere he'd fix something for someone. He had no one in this town except Anna. He decided to be mature and proposed to her. For 6 months, Sam worked wherever he could. He saved his money, didn't spend it anywhere, bought a ring. She came home that night, saw the table set, was surprised. "Are we having some kind of party tonight?" she asked her boyfriend. "Yes," he told her. "What kind?" She put down her bag, took off her shoes, and went into the kitchen. "Anna, I think it's time." He pulled out a ring. Sam, her eyes lit up with happiness. "I love you." He put the ring on her finger. "I do." She looked up at him. That evening they talked about their upcoming wedding. "Do you know what I was thinking?" Anna looked at her chosen one. "No," he answered her. "And let's not spend on a dress or a restaurant or anything else, and let's go to the place where we met you. We'll celebrate our union there," the girl told him. "That's a great idea," Sam said aloud, and in his mind he began to think about where he could get the money. But Anna didn't let him think about it. She said something else. The next day they filed the application in the registry office, and after that they went to make out the vouchers. Everything was done quickly, and 2 weeks later they had a regular wedding. Now they just had to wait for the fact that in a few days they would fly to a warm country, to the gentle sea and white sand. "Have you ever dreamed of living abroad?" Sam asked her then. "I hadn't thought about it," Anna answered after some silence. They checked into the same hotel where she had rubbed some cream on her boyfriend's back the first time. "This room is not like the one I lived in then." She entered the large room that was intended for the newlyweds. "Don't compare. You were alone then. Why did you need so much space?" He put his arm around her and led her to the bed. Those were dreamy days. They lounged on the beach, swam in the sea. Everything was wonderful. They came home refreshed and tanned. "Sam, I'll probably call Natalie and spend tonight with her," Anna said to her husband when they returned. "Yeah, sure. I don't mind," he replied and lay down on the couch. Anna called her friend and went to see her. "So, how are things going there with your lout?" her friend asked her. "Why do you call him that? He's very nice," Anna told her. She had wanted to introduce her husband and her friend to each other many times, but she couldn't do it because Natalie didn't want to get along with him. They sat up until almost midnight, and then the girl went home. When she arrived, Sam was already asleep. She lay down next to him and fell asleep. She didn't feel like going to work. She woke up in the morning. "Well, everyone's working." Sam got out of bed too. "Not everyone," she winked at him. "Anna, stop giving me a hard time about this," he said. He was offended when the girl insinuated to him that he wasn't working. They had breakfast and the girl went to work. She was getting a good salary, so for now they had enough for everything. But family life is quite different. It was necessary to buy a lot of things for the house. Anna began to realize that her earnings would not be enough for everything. "Sam, you at least try." She opened him another job ad. "I know everything without you. I'll figure it out on my own." Lately he was looking for options on how to earn from home. "I do not understand. You can get a job and do it in parallel," she advised him. "Anna, you work, so work, and I'll sort it out myself." He did not want to argue. "And while you sort it out, our loans will accumulate. There will be so many of them that it will be impossible to repay them later." She looked at the world with different eyes. Now she understood what Natalie was telling her, but she didn't want to admit it. They were sitting in the kitchen. Sam had made scrambled eggs and was putting them on plates. "You?" Anna grimaced. "What are you doing?" He wondered, because she loved the dish so much. "It doesn't smell good at all." The girl pushed the plate away from her. "I don't know." He brought it over, sniffed it. "I probably won't have breakfast," she said, drank a glass of water, and went to work. No matter how much she walked, no matter where she went, there seemed to be foul odors everywhere. The woman on the bus smelled of good perfume, but to Anna it smelled as if she had smeared herself in something unpleasant. The conductor walked by, smelling of fish. Anna tried not to think about it, because it was very unpleasant. When she finally got off the bus, she felt very nauseous. "Ah, Casey, what are you eating?" She walked into the office. "Anna, what's wrong with you?" The woman looked at the container that contained the bread and cheese. "I can't. I smell bad everywhere today," she said, sitting down at the table. There was a flower pot at the back. She pushed it away because the smell was coming from there too. "My dear, so you must be pregnant," her older colleague told her. "What?" Anna froze. She couldn't even think about it because so little time had passed. "I assure you, when I was expecting my first child, I ate nothing at all. I lost 9 pounds. The woman smiled and put her container away. In the evening, Anna went to the pharmacy, bought a test. She didn't tell Sam anything yet. First thing in the morning, she went to the bathroom. When a plus appeared on the plastic strip, she pressed it to her chest. The apartment stank insanely again. The girl tried to breathe through the time. She went to the kitchen and opened the window. "Please don't cook any more eggs," she asked her husband. "Okay," he turned to her. "I thought yesterday was just your whimsy. Don't fry these eggs again while I am expecting a baby." She put the test on the table. "What?" Just as she did, the young man reacted. "You're not glad?" The smile disappeared from her face. "Why glad?" He began wiping off the table. In fact, Sam hadn't really planned children so soon. The plans were quite different, but as it happened, he couldn't answer the girl differently. During her pregnancy, Anna had been on the maternity ward twice, which meant she had sick leave. "Sam, please get a job, maybe a temporary one." "I'm going to go on maternity leave. What are we going to live on?" she asked him. "I'm looking," he answered her. Anna pressed her lips, went to the kitchen. She realized that if her husband was looking for something, he would have found it long ago. Against this background, they began to quarrel, and she was in such a state. When at work, the director offered to take another part-time job. The girl did not refuse. She realized that now, before the birth, she had to do everything. Buy a crib, a stroller, some things for the child, because then nothing would be enough. "Sam, please, wash the dishes and floors today, and also load the washing machine." Anna gave her tasks when she left for work. When she came back in the evening, nothing had been done as she had asked. "Sam, I told you," she looked at him. "Oh, you know I've been so wrapped up I've forgotten everything," he answered her. What were you doing?" The girl didn't understand. It was already hard for her to walk with a big belly. "Well, load the machine yourself. It's not hard to do," her husband told her. Anna went and did everything herself. "Natalie, can I come to your place?" she called her friend one day. "Of course, why do you ask?" She was always happy to see her. "I'll be there soon," Anna said quickly and hung up. "So, friend, when's the baby due?" Natalie met her at the door. 8 weeks to go," Anna said. They went to the kitchen and sat down at the table. Natalie poured the tea and took out the cake she'd bought after work today. "I can't live like this anymore. I'm fed up." "He lies on the couch all the time, does nothing," the girl complained. "Listen, you don't even have to say that to me. I warned you about it long ago." Natalie rolled her eyes. She knew that it would turn out that way. "What do I do now? What do I do?" Anna looked at her stomach. "Give birth and run away from that asshole," Natalie told her. But Anna couldn't do that. She was nervous about her husband, but she loved him. She went to the hospital so that no mishaps would happen. She gave birth to a son exactly on the date that was set for her. Anna called her husband, but he didn't answer for some reason. She thought that maybe Sam was doing something or had a surprise for her, so she texted him. But after all the time she spent in the hospital before discharge, Sam never showed up. She was met at the discharge by a friend. "Where is your husband?" she asked Anna as she left the building. "I'd like to know that myself," was the sad girl. They got into a cab and drove home. "Shit," stretched the new mom when she entered the room where the nursery was supposed to be. "What are you doing?" Natalie shouted from the hallway. "I thought he was getting ready, buying diapers, getting the crib ready," Anna almost cried. Natalie entered the same place where her friend was standing and saw that everything was still in boxes. "I warned you," her friend told her once again. "Where is it?" Anna didn't understand. "You should know better," Natalie shrugged. The wife dialed her husband's number again, but this time the subscriber's phone was out of range. She looked at the messages she'd sent him. It seemed they just hadn't been read. Maybe something had happened to him, she suggested. What could have happened to him? He was probably on vacation somewhere with his friends. Natalie was sure of it. They put the baby in the stroller, which stood in the corridor, and began to assemble the crib, the table, and everything else. "Yes, you have a great man at home," said her friend when they were finished. "Nothing, do not tell me," the girl fed Michael. The spouses continued to be spouses, but Sam never showed up at home. Anna wanted to ring all the bells, and when she was about to file a missing persons report for her husband, he showed up. A happy, tanned man walked into the apartment. "Where have you been?" His wife jumped on him. "Anna, no need to be nervous. I'll tell you everything," Sam spoke calmly. They went to the room where their son was sleeping. Sam walked over and looked at him. "Is nothing ticking?" She asked him a question. "Calm down, I'll explain everything now," he said. "I was applying for a job here, and I met this great guy." "And who is this guy?" Anna wondered who he had traded her and her son for. "His name is Mickey, and he told me a lot of stories about things I'd like to do." The young man was building sandcastles again. "Well, I'm waiting for those stories." Anna couldn't stand it. "That afternoon I went to visit them. Mickey wanted me to meet his wife Sarah. And while we were there I learned a lot," Sam said with a smart look. After these words he got up, went to the kitchen, made tea for himself and his wife, and brought it into the room. "You've got a vague story." She didn't understand him. "Look, so Sarah, she works as a realtor, sells, buys, everything related to real estate." Sam waved his hands. "Okay, next." Anna looked over to see if the baby was awake. "So, they told me that in Turkey you can buy cheap housing." He stopped talking and looked at his wife. "I don't understand." She saw that he was waiting for her approval or something else, but the girl really couldn't understand what her husband was saying to her. "Let's buy an apartment and rent it out." He sat down with her. "What? Are you out of your mind?" She got up and started walking around the room. "Anna, but I'm asking you, I'm telling you, it's a profitable business. We'll rent an apartment there, get income, and sit at home, do nothing," he said in a pleading voice. "Is that what your Mickey and Sarah taught you?" She wondered. "I'm telling you, it's a thing." He was quite sure of it himself. "Well, I don't know. Where are we going to get the money?" She turned and looked him in the eye. "Sell the apartment." The answer came out of his mouth as if it were a matter of course. "I mean, we'll sell the apartment here to buy an apartment in Turkey to rent out." "Is that it?" She clarified with him. "Yes," he confirmed. "Well, where are we going to live?" That was the question. "We'll rent," Sam said. "I don't understand your logic." She saw that Michael was awake, and she came over and took him in her arms. "What logic? It is cheaper to rent here than in Turkey. A little time will pass. We can afford to buy an apartment." He was ready to persuade her by any means. Anna herself does not know how, but agreed to this adventure. Mickey and Sarah, whom Sam considered close friends, had helped him sell the apartment and find a cheaper place to rent. Now the husband, wife and child were living in a small one-room apartment on the outskirts of the city. With the apartment in Turkey, too, everything was solved quickly, and now, as Anna thought, she and Mickey were the happy owners of the living space abroad. The tenants were found quickly, and they paid good money. But since Anna had no income now, it was just enough to make ends meet. Sam was always missing. He wasn't home during the day, and sometimes he didn't show up at night. Anna knew she had to get a job, but the baby was only a year old, so she couldn't afford it. "Where do you go all the time?" Anna asked her husband. "You know, Mickey and Sarah are talking," he started. "I don't care what your Mickey and Sarah say. I care about our family. We have a baby, and we don't have enough money for anything. Look at him. He's wearing things that he hasn't worn in a long time." She pointed at Michael. "Wait, my dear, not everything is not so fast. It will get better later. We will have everything," he promised. Finally, when her son was a year and a half old, he could go to daycare, and she could go to work. Now, when she began to receive a salary, money was enough for everything. Anna was happy about it, and again put on rose-colored glasses on her eyes. "Anna, why are you so stupid?" Natalie used to tell her when they were dating. "I just thought I was wrong then," she told her. "What do you mean? You're working like hell, and he's sitting at home, doing nothing, and you're doing fine." Natalie didn't recognize her friend as she had been a few years ago, and as she was now, together with Sam. "You'll see, we'll be fine," she repeated her husband's words. Natalie waved her off, though she didn't believe in it, but she didn't want to dissuade her. Now they met very rarely, so they did not want to spoil these meetings, so most of the time Natalie was silent. "Let's try to take out a mortgage," Sam suggested at home that evening. "What mortgage?" Once again he surprised her with his stupid suggestion. "But we have to live somewhere. Let's buy an apartment," her husband asked her. And Anna went back to his persuasion. And here they are already sitting in the bank and consider options. The girl thought about everything. According to her calculations, if you pay for the mortgage, it will be almost the same as renting an apartment. The apartment was bought. Now the family moved into almost their own apartment. "Anna, come over. We're having a party tonight," Natalie called her. "I can't. I have to work," she answered. Anna had recently taken on another part-time job, and now she came to work very early and left very late. Her father drove the child to the daycare center and picked him up. She was tired, but she couldn't do anything. She wanted to pay off the loan as soon as possible. "I can't be a mom anymore," Sam told her one day. "What do you mean?" She didn't understand him. "I lie with him all day long, feed him breakfast, cook dinner, wipe the floors, and all this is your job," he told her. "And what is your work?" She didn't understand. "How and what? I do not bring money into the house. Unlike you, I'm home all day." He seemed proud of the fact that he had those pennies coming in. "Sam, I don't understand you. I do everything for our family. I work, I pay the loan, but you only make claims and you don't do anything." That was the first time she told him that. When Michael was 3 years old, Sam and Anna had their first fight. "I'm tired. Don't you understand?" she shouted to her husband. "What's in it for me? Learn to earn properly, and you will not be tired," he told her. "Fuck you." She slammed the door and went to Natalie's. Of course her son was with her. "Have you thought about divorcing him?" a friend told her. "Oh, Natalie, don't start yet. I'm on edge," she asked her. "Okay, it's your problem," agreed with her girl. After a few hours, when Anna calmed down, she and the child returned home. "So, where were you? Where was she? Looking for a new boyfriend?" Sam started from the doorstep. "Please, I don't want to fight," she said. "Please." He went to sleep in the other room. In the morning, Anna realized that she would have to drive her son herself, so she quickly made breakfast, fed Michael. They ran to kindergarten, and then she came to work. The constant tardiness had taken its toll. "Anna, I'm going to take away those 2 half rates you took, because I see that you are not on time," the boss told her once. Please, I really need them, she begged him. No, I see that you are not coping, and the reports have become worse, and the work, so, from today you work on your one rate. He showed her a gesture that she is free and can go. She wanted to cry, but didn't want to do it here. In the evening she picked up Michael, and they went straight to Natalie's. Why not home? The girl asked them. I don't want to go there, Anna was telling the truth. I wonder where it is, that we'll be fine, that I love him so much. Her friend laughed at her. Stop it, she was ashamed to hear, because everyone had warned her, and she'd stood her ground. Sam had called her several times, but she hadn't answered or returned her calls. When they heard a knock on the door, they looked at each other. Is someone here for you? Natalie told her. Don't open it, she asked her. I can't. He'll kick the door in. Natalie went and opened it, and then she got punched in the face. Are you out of your mind? She shouted at him. What about you? Who are you hiding here? Why did you take so long to open the door? Samu's eyes were so angry, you could be frightened just by the sight of them. Michael cried. Anna stood up. Sam, she wanted to say something to him. There you go. Sam hit her, too. We're getting a divorce, she cried, sat down on a chair. That's what I came to tell you. He clenched his fists, jowls running down his face. No one else said anything to anyone else. The young man just slammed the doors and left that apartment. What am I supposed to do now? Anna looked at her friend. What do you mean? She held her cheek, which was still burning. What should I do in this situation? The friends had many questions for each other. Oh, woe is me, divorce him and fuck him, and never remember again. Thank Michael for making you a great guy. She stroked the head of the boy who was lurking in the corner. Can I stay with you tonight? The mother also came to her son. Of course, stay. What talk? In the morning, Anna took Michael to kindergarten and herself called at work, excused herself. She wanted to clear things up with her husband. Sam, she went into the apartment, but no one answered her. The girl went through all the rooms. Her husband was not at home. Interesting, she said, and dialed his number, but no one answered the phone either. Then she gathered all the documents, went to the magistrate's court, and wrote a petition for divorce. To be honest, she had thoughts in her head that Sam would find out about it and come back, but it didn't happen. As time passed, a notice arrived in the mail that they were divorced. This was her second divorce, not at all happy about it. In the evening, when Michael was already asleep, Anna sat in the kitchen and thought about how to live her life further. Where Sam she does not know, she cannot pay for the apartment. And then the thought struck her. They have an apartment in Turkey, which they bought in marriage. What if you go and file for division of property? They will share both the mortgage payments and the apartment in another country. The next day, with these thoughts, she went to her friend to help her with this issue. You know, I'm not good at this, Natalie told her right away. After going to a few more places, she decided to look for the documents at home. She had seen Sam making photocopies to send somewhere. What was this? She held the folder of papers in her hands and read them. She couldn't get to it. The topmost document was a deed of gift in which Sam's mother gave him an apartment in Turkey. At this point, she called Sam again, who finally answered, but only laughed at her. At that moment, Anna realized that she could not solve anything with this man. Nothing touched him, not even a child, let alone her. I don't understand. She began to leaf through the rest of the book. It turned out that Sarah had helped to pull off a scheme that was so convincing. The apartment was originally registered to her husband's mother, and afterward, she formalized the gift to her son. What a twist! Natalie laughed when Anna told her everything. Why are you laughing? It's not funny at all, Anna cried into the phone. It's not funny to you, but it's funny to me, because I saw your husband at first sight, that he is a scoundrel. Her friend stood next to her. What should I do now? Anna asked this question over and over again. Nothing. Go on with your life. You'll manage on your own. was the only advice from Natalie. Yes, life went on. At some moments, Anna thought that if she didn't have a child, she would probably do something to herself. Now they were living on debt alone, and there was no way to do anything. "Mummy, are you tired?" Michael came up to her sometimes. "Sonny, I'm going to sleep a little, and then I'll make you dinner," she told him. Anna took part-time jobs wherever she could. She washed floors, filled out paperwork. Since she had an education, in addition to work, now she also took clients at home. But there was still not enough money for anything. She just wanted to quit everything and go on vacation. Once with Natalie, they sat in a cafe. It was fun. Anna had left Michael with a neighbor just to relax. "Why don't we dance?" Her friend suggested it. "What are you doing?" Anna looked around. Yes, someone was dancing, but most people were sitting at tables. "Come on, stop being shy," pulled her friend by the hand. Rhythmic music started to play, and the girls began to move to the beat. "Girls, you guys are cool," they heard from the side. Standing next to them were the guys who had just walked in. "You are too," Natalie answered them with a laugh. After one song, they returned to the table, pouring into glasses, laughing. Just then, the very young men approached them. "Can we sit down with you?" they asked. "Don't you have enough room?" Natalie was surprised. "No, we just want to meet such fun girls," the young people said. That's how Anna met John. That evening he took her home in a cab and their communication began. He came to visit her. They went out. Anna was surprised, but her son quickly accepted the man, which she did not expect, and in 6 months John and Anna began to live together. "And how you only then decided to come to us," often said Anna to her chosen one. "Apparently, it's fate," he answered her. "Good fate," she hugged him in the kitchen. Now it was easier, because John took half of the costs. He worked in a cab. At first, it was stressful for Anna, but soon she got used to it. "Listen, why don't we take out a car loan?" John once told her. "We already have so much debt," she wondered. "I work on the company car, so it comes out less, and if I had my own car, it would come out many times more," he said about the financial component. Well, if that's the only reason, she wondered. When they looked at the options, it wasn't that expensive, so the girl agreed. But it turned out that John was not officially employed, so he could not take a loan. Anna had to formalize it on himself. But she did not regret it, because the young man has never betrayed her. "So, when is the wedding?" Natalie asked her. Maybe there was no need for a wedding. Anna doubted that she already wanted to get married after 2 divorces. "Well, I don't know, a normal man." It seems that for once Natalie was not against the choice her friend had made. "He's not proposing, and I'm what?" Anna averted her eyes. "I see, so you need a hint," she laughed back. It seemed that life got better. The child reached out to the man. He also did not leave him without attention. Anna loved and was loved. In the evening, when they went to bed, she hugged her beloved and thought that it would always be so. Debts did not go anywhere, they only added. But John really, after buying a car, began to bring more to the family. It was happy. That's why when he was late at work or working double shifts, Anna never said anything to him. "I'll probably go out again tonight," John said in the evening. "Okay, have a good job." Anna kissed him and he left. "Do you trust him?" Natalie asked her once. "Of course, we've been together for almost 2 years. I know everything about him. He knows everything about me," Anna answered her. "Well, I don't know. The man works at night, drives who knows who." Natalie came to visit her friend today. "Why do you doubt him?" Anna, who was standing at the stove, turned to her. "I do not know. Handsome and interesting on his car. Why would not the other pay attention to him?" Began to list the girl. "But if a man loves, he will be with you and will not betray," was sure of it Anna. Natalie loved her friend and didn't want her to have anything wrong. But after this conversation, Anna herself began to suspect something. Maybe she was imagining it, but she started checking John's cell phone, pockets she'd never even checked before washing, and everything else. "What are you always trying to find in there?" he asked her. "I don't know. What if you have another one?" she told him jokingly. "What other one?" The man was nervous when they had this conversation. Anna noticed this, so her suspicions only grew stronger. Somehow he'd left for work in the evening, and she decided to follow him. Of course, she wouldn't follow him where he went. But when he left and when he arrived, it was interesting. The girl waited until the hour when her shift was ending. She stood at the window and watched to see when her favorite would drive up. And he arrived. The headlights were off, but John didn't get out of the car. Anna looked out the window and waited for him to show up, but the man never did. So she threw on her coat, put on her boots, and went into the yard. Anna just decided to ask him why he didn't come out. Already in the entryway, it occurred to her that he did not want to disturb her and her son, because before she did not know what time he came, he announced to her the hour when he came. She ran out of the driveway, and as she walked to the car, she saw that her man was not alone. An intense pain appeared in her chest, and her head was all jumbled up. She couldn't believe he could do that. "So this is how you taxi at night?" She opened the door. "Anna, what are you doing here?" John was in the backseat with a girl. "I'm the one asking you, what are you doing here? And with whom?" She glared angrily at the couple. "Anna, do not start a scandal here. We'll talk at home." He quickly adjusted his clothes, got out of the car. "And what should I start with you? I've already seen everything. Thank you, Natalie. It was she who warned me," shouted the girl throughout the yard. "What did she warn you about?" "I didn't understand her." "About your infidelity," she explained. "Let's go home," he took her hand. "And is she going to sit there like that?" Anna nodded her head at the car. "I'll take her home later," the man told her. "No, she'll get out and get home on her own." The girl was so angry, she wanted to grab that girl by the hair and drag her to the ground. They were standing in the yard when John came back to the car, opened the door, helped the girl out, said something to her, and she went in. They went into the apartment in silence. "Is there anything you want to tell me? Maybe get out of it. Think of something." She spoke as if she was afraid of getting dirty with this man. "I'm not going to explain anything to you." He went into the room, took a gym bag, and started throwing things in it. "Is this how our life is going to end?" She stood in the doorway and couldn't believe that this was the end and it was really happening. "What did you want me to do now? What did you want me to do?" He didn't look her in the eye. "Yes, I had a different opinion of you." Anna cried tears like she had never had before. "Natalie, he's gone," she called her friend in the morning. "Who left?" She didn't understand. "John," Anna cried into the phone. "How did he leave? Why did he leave?" She pelted her with questions. "Tonight, I caught him with another girl in the car," Anna admitted, though it was very unpleasant. "Jesus, girlfriend, I'll be right there." Natalie hung up on her. Anna was crying in the kitchen when Michael got there, and again, he was hugging and feeling sorry for his mummy, because he didn't want her to be upset. "You and I are going to be okay, son," she told him and hugged him. Anna had long ago filed for alimony, but her ex-husband paid her practically nothing and did not send her anything. Anna didn't know what to do. She now alone did not pull out any debts at all. Then she began to look for a job, not just a part-time job, but seriously to pay off all the loans. Anna had not met any men during this time, and she didn't want to meet any. "Hello, do you need workers?" She called one of the production plants, which needed a worker at night. Since they had to work at such a time, the pay was decent. Now, during the day, she went to her job. In the evening, she worked part-time, and at night, she went to a third job. She was very thin, exhausted, but there was nothing to do. "Oh, Anna, you've gotten yourself into trouble." Natalie looked at her. She had just met a man, and now she was happy. Yes, but you have to survive, sighed Anna. Why did you give him the car? She didn't understand. That morning, indeed, when John had packed his things, he left the house, got into the car, and drove away. Only then Anna realized that she had taken a loan on herself, and the car was registered to him. But the amount there was not so large. For this she was not very upset. She thought more about the mortgage, which had no end. Now, with one income she had enough to pay for it, and the second salary went to her son. Michael, where did you stay so long again? His mother used to say to him when he was in 7th grade. Since there was no man's hand in the family, and also the mother was constantly absent, the boy grew up on his own. He was already friends with girls. He came whenever he wanted. He had some weird friends too. Do you realize that you're ruining your life? Sat down in the hours when Anna was home to talk to the child. Where were you before, when I needed your upbringing? He sassed her back. And again she cried, and again these tears were from a man, only now from the most native. At her new job, Anna met Betty, who quickly gained her trust, and they became friends. Why do you feel sorry for your ex-boyfriend? Betty told her. Call him and tell him that he owes you for the child. He didn't raise him. He didn't see him. Why do you have to do everything on your own? That's what she used to say to her when she came to visit. We have not communicated with him for so many years. How can I call him now? I don't even know his phone number, Anna replied. It's okay. Look in social networks. Find him, right, after all, advised all the same Betty. Oh, Betty, you know how hard it is for me to take such steps, Anna answered her. Nothing, life will make you take any steps, the new acquaintance was sure. In the evening, when she left, Anna really first tried to dial the phone number she had, but the phone was blocked. Then she sat down at her computer and started searching for Samu on social media. When she saw him, she couldn't believe her eyes. He was standing against a backdrop of palm trees, and it was obvious he wasn't there vacationing. It took her a long time to work up the courage to write, but she did, because they have a child together. Hi, ex-husband, was her first message. About 10 minutes later, Sam replied. I thought you'd forgotten about me, he texted back. I need your help. She wanted no preamble, nothing more. And what do you want from me? I pay you alimony, what else? He didn't understand. Can I call you? Text me your number, she asked him. When the man sent her the numbers, she realized that he probably lived in Turkey now, because the country code was the same. Hello, she told him again when he picked up the phone. Hello, he waited to see what she would tell him. Sam, I need your help. I've done so much over the years to close all your debts, Anna said, with tears running down her cheeks. Why are they my debts? As an honest man, I left you the apartment, and even paid for it for some time half. He began to explain to her. Yes, you as an honest man, when we sold my apartment, bought a place for yourself, and wrote everything down on your mother. She could not help but poke him with it. All right, enough ranting. Tell me what you want. Anna knew that if he wasn't satisfied, he might just hang up on her. I just need the money, she said at the end. And I just won't give it to you, he replied. Which was to be expected, Anna said, and hung up. She didn't want to talk to the man who had betrayed her, abandoned her, and now he was doing the same thing he had done then. Natalie, how are you? She called an old friend. Finally, I wasn't expecting your call, she said. Would you like to go on vacation with me? Anna asked her. Where to? Natalie asked. Anna realized that she didn't have any extra money, but she didn't want to think about it. Why did her husband get everything, and she got nothing? Why couldn't she have a vacation? Perhaps she had hoped to meet him there, because she had chosen the resort where Sam was at that time. But she hadn't told Natalie that. I don't know. I have to take a vacation at work, and the vouchers aren't cheap, Natalie began to say. You can get it in installments, Anna told her. Oh, you have everything. Then on credit, then in installments. Natalie did not like it. 3 months later, the girls were already basking in the Turkish sun near the sea, which Anna loved so much. "Is everything okay?" asked her friend, because Anna every day took her to some streets and somewhere else. "Why do you ask?" She didn't understand. "Because we go to some strange places instead of sunbathing on the beach. You're taking me to all sorts of neighborhoods." She stood up and folded her arms across her chest. "If I tell you the truth, you'll get mad at me," Anna said. "Tell me." Natalie stopped. She didn't understand what truth her friend could have in Turkey. And then Anna told her about Sam, that he was here and she wanted to meet him. "What are you, stupid? One time wasn't enough for you, you're making a second attempt," laughed her friend. "I just want to look him in the eye," Anna said. "That's your business." Natalie waved her hand and went the other way. Anna didn't stand still and followed her. They didn't go anywhere else, and they weren't looking for anyone else. But Sam and Anna did meet. "And let's go to the store. They say the prices are much cheaper here." Natalie was not in the mood for the sea in the morning, because it was raining. "Good," her friend agreed with her. They went outside. It was pouring from the sky like a bucket, but it didn't bother them. They were given umbrellas at the reception. "It's warm." Anna put her hand out from under the umbrella. "You bet," laughed her friend. They came to a big supermarket, and they went in different directions. "Who would have told me what it was?" Anna said to herself. At that moment, she was looking at a gizmo. Naturally, she thought that no one here understood her. "I can tell you." A man came up to her. He spoke good English. "Save." She didn't finish. When she looked up, her ex-husband was standing in front of her. "Anna, how are you?" He fidgeted. It was obvious that he didn't want and didn't expect this meeting. She tried to speak casually so that he wouldn't notice her excitement. "Is she here too?" He looked between the shelves. "Yes." Anna looked back as well. "Well, as you can see, I'm fine. This is my store. Okay. Come on, choose what you need, and I do not have time." He gave her in her hands the very thing, turned around and went. "Where are you going to talk?" She realized that their meeting was useless. "Anna, why are you shouting?" A friend came running. "I just met him." She looked in the direction the man had just gone. "Leave it and calm down already." Natalie didn't understand what this woman wanted. Why are things so unfair in life? She couldn't understand. "Let's go." Natalie wanted to get her out of there quickly, because she realized that now she might get hysterical. After a while, when they were already in the hotel, that was all they talked about. They never saw Sam again, although Anna visited the store a couple more times. On the last day of their vacation, Natalie didn't let her friend go anywhere. "We need to get away. When are we ever going to be here again?" She told her. "Yes, I agree," she said. The friends were returning home to their homeland. "Thank you for your support." Anna was grateful. "It's okay." Natalie kissed her on the cheek and hugged her tightly. At home, Anna found the house a complete mess. She realized that her son had brought guests again. Michael was lying in the room on the bed. When his mother leaned over, she smelled the strong odor of alcohol. "What is it?" she shouted. "Ma, do not shout, head, and without it splits," moaned the guy. "Michael, how long can this go on? I'm not iron." She could not understand why her son grew up like this. No one in their family abused. Yes, she wasn't home often, and the boy was left alone. But in the hours and days that they were together, she did everything for him. Why he was like that? As much as he needed to, he got up and went to the bathroom, tears forming in the woman's eyes again. She understood that this behavior would not lead to good things. "Why are you being rude to me?" she shouted at him through the door. "Leave me alone." That was the guy's favorite word right now. Anna continued to work. The debts never ended. Often the woman cried alone in the kitchen. She did not understand why her life had turned out this way. Everything was fine. How could she come to this? "You've got to meet a man," Betty admonished her at work. "Oh, You know they're no good. Anna waved her off. Michael's got to get a grip or it's gonna get worse, she hinted. And what do you think? That now a man will come and listen to him, she laughed. Not listen, but at least there will be someone to ask or consult, stood on his friend. Anna didn't want to talk about it. She was tired all the same, but there was no one to pity. Michael graduated from high school. His mother thought that now he would settle down, but she was wrong. Why don't you apply anywhere? She asked him. I don't want to, he snorted back. Just like his father, he was lazy, his mother said for the first time. Yeah, but look how he lives now. And how we do, he turned the monitor to her. What? How did you find it? She realized that her son was purposefully looking for Sam. It doesn't matter how I found it, but the fact that he texted me, that's already offensive. He jabbed his finger. Anna read what her ex-husband had written. After the son said hello to him and said he wanted to communicate, the father replied that he was not his son and would not communicate. Yes, that's his style, smiled the woman. She felt bad for her son. After that, it was like Michael was possessed by a demon. He went out day and night, took home unknown people. No matter what his mother did or said, he wouldn't stop. Hello. She got a call from a number she didn't recognize. Good evening. She looked at the clock that hung on the wall. It was about 12 o'clock at night. Your son has been in an accident. You need to come, the man said. Anna's heart beat faster. She was very worried. The woman grabbed her coat, put it on right over the robe, then boots, purse, ran out into the street. What? Where to? The thoughts in her head were confused. She was imagining horrible pictures that were connected with the accident. I have a son here. She was disheveled when she approached the window of the duty officer. Come on in. He marked her in the register. She ran into the office. Anna herself didn't know what she wanted to see there. There was a man sitting behind the desk. You called me about my son. She sat down in a chair. The woman was so nervous she was ready to faint. Yes, he started going through the papers on the desk. Is he alive? That was the question she was afraid to ask. Yes, he never lifted his head from the desk. Thank God, she exhaled. It wasn't a matter of whether he was alive or dead. Finally, the organ worker pulled out and placed the right sheet in front of her. Anna stared at the small slanted lines. Everything was blurring in her eyes. She couldn't read anything. What is it? She looked at the man in uniform confusedly. A confession, he answered calmly. Tell me normally, why are you speaking in riddles? The woman begged. The guys were doing the wrong thing. By car, they decided to transport something forbidden to another area. He raised an eyebrow. What? She listened to the policeman. Drugs, the man said quietly. I don't understand. What does the accident and drugs have to do with it? Was 100 questions for Anna. They hid them in the tires. They didn't want to get caught. But when they left the gas station, something went wrong, and at the intersection, they collided with another car. The impact was not strong, but the car was thrown into the ditch and overturned. Officers immediately arrived on the scene, there and found everything. Was calm as a boa constrictor, the man behind the desk. And what? Michael said it was all his. The mother didn't believe it. Yes, as you can see, the confession in front of you. He tapped the pen on the sheet. That can't be, she cried. As you can see, it can. The man put his hands together. Now Anna was waiting for the trial. She needed to hire a lawyer for her son, but there was no money. She took out a loan again to accomplish what she wanted. The lawyer was hired. He zealously defended the boy. And instead of a big sentence, he got the bare minimum. Thank you, Anna said to the man afterward. I don't know. There's no fixing him. He'll get out now and go back to his old ways. The lawyer was sure of it. I'll try not to. Tears welled up in my eyes. Anna, I just found out. Natalie came to see her. I'm so ashamed. They went into the kitchen. How such a good boy could grow up to be like that, I didn't understand. Are you judging me? Anna looked up at her. Why would you? They sat drinking tea. After Michael was taken away, Anna was left all alone. In the hours when she wasn't working, she sat on the sofa, opened her album, and just cried. Why did I have to do all this? She asked herself. But she couldn't relax. Her debts had to be paid. Michael wrote letters in which he assured his mother that he would never do this again, thanking her for everything. Anna read them, smiled. She believed her boy. Time passed. The young man was released. He had lost weight. He was stooped. He didn't look like his old self at all. Hello, his mother greeted him. Hello, he hugged her. They went home, and the table was already set. The mother had been waiting for her son and knew he wants something delicious. Where are you going? The woman was surprised after they arrived home. Her son had eaten, changed his clothes, and was about to go out. I have things to do, he turned to her. What business? You just got here. She couldn't understand. Don't ask. He opened the door and went out. Don't you think it's strange? Natalie told her when she called her. I don't know what to think. Anna was upset. Maybe that lawyer would be right, her friend said carefully so as not to offend. If that happens, I won't help at all, the woman cried. Could you? Natalie wasn't sure. I don't know. I have so many credits, debts, but no one thinks about it. Everyone rides on me, she said through sobs. Do you want me to come? Natalie asked. I don't know. And it was true, because she just wanted to be alone, but she could use some support. The friends said goodbye, and Anna went to the kitchen. Her condition was such that she felt as if she were going to go to the noose. Her son didn't return until morning. The next day, the woman went to work. She thought that she would come back, and Michael would be already in the apartment, but in the evening he was not there. Anna called him. Who he was friends with now she didn't know. He came back a week later. Michael, where have you been? I wanted to report you missing. She hugged him in the hallway. Mother, I understand that you're worried, but I've grown up a long time ago. He took her away from him and went to his room. Anna calmed down. She sat down at her computer. She decided to distract herself. When she entered the mail, she saw a letter. It was not written in English. Look what I got today. She showed it to her friend the next day. It's a scam. Everyone gets one now, Natalie told her. What does it say? Anna was curious. Come, you have received the inheritance, the friend said and smiled. Maybe, really, I could use the money. It was obvious that Anna was the person who was falling for the tricks of swindlers. God, how old are you? You still believe in fairy tales. Natalie did not hide the fact that she was surprised at her friend's naivety. A month later, she received another letter, which Anna showed to Betty. So write back, she advised. Natalie said she couldn't do that. Anna looked at the paper, even though she didn't understand it. No one would punch you in the head for writing. Betty was the opposite of Natalie. Okay, the woman nodded, tucking the letter into her pocket. She sat staring at the monitor for a long time that evening, but she never decided to write anything. When Michael was away from home for about a month, his mother realized that he was in trouble again, because he kept calling and asking for money. As she thought, after a while the guy was again in custody. It was a different case than the last one, so he might not get away with it. Natalie, give me the number of a lawyer, she asked her friend for help again. Now, she hesitated, then dictated the numbers. Her friend, Anna, called her again when she talked to the man. What? She could hear the indignation or surprise in Anna's voice. Do you know how much he charges for his services? She was more shocked and surprised. So, what? You don't want to go to jail, you pay. And what else could she say? Okay, thank you. Hung up the phone friend. Now the woman sat in the kitchen and thought about where she could get so much money. Another loan she just can't afford. What other options are there? Betty, come to me. She dialed her number. Well, she was always happy to be invited. I thought I'd take this. Anna told her as she opened the door. I didn't get it. Betty hadn't thought of anything when she got to the floor, so she was now flapping her eyes. Well, the letter, remember, in English, Anna reminded her. Oh, you mean that? It was so long overdue. She followed her friend into the room. Together, they sat down at the table and began to look at what was in the mail. As it turned out, the letter came again. Look, if they are scammers, they often write the same thing to you, Etty said. She opened the reply window and wrote that she was willing to make contact. After that, she immediately received the next email, which had a phone number to contact. Let's call, the friend said confidently. And how will I communicate? Because I don't know any languages. They understand where they write. Betty took the phone and dialed the number herself. It started with a greeting. They spoke in English, but with a very big accent. Betty put it on speakerphone. The man was saying that Sam, Anna's ex-husband, had died. He had had an accident. He had written a will giving everything to her, but only after his last request was fulfilled. That can't be. The woman's eyes were wide open. Why can't it? You yourself told me that everything is fine there. Her friend was as surprised as Anna. And what? You think we should go? She was puzzled. Definitely, yes. Betty nodded her head. Well, even if the divorce, what prevents me to relax on the seashore, she said. Now Ahmet did not even have to make a loan and installments. Betty agreed to lend her friend money. Thank you. The woman was grateful to her. Hi, girlfriend. Natalie came to her a few days after all these events. You have no idea what happened. Anna met her and immediately took her into the kitchen to tell her everything. Navy, but if you want to rest, then why not go? Did not know what to say, because everything was already done. Well, tell me, and how they divorced me, sat across from her friend and looked into her eyes. I don't know, don't ask. Natalie realized that her friend was stubborn. What she wanted to do, she couldn't be persuaded. Whatever. Anna felt hurt that her friend was treating her like this. In a few days, she had to pack her things to fly to the country that had once brought her happiness. Anna did not take a lot of things with her. She was only going for a few days, so she did not need them. The first thing she did after check-in was to go to the specified address. There she was already waited for, met, and led to the office. Do you speak English? The man sitting behind the desk asked her at once. It was an elderly man. He was wearing a good suit. He looked at Anna with kind eyes. No, she would not deceive anyone. All right, we'll make a deal sometime, he twisted his words. Anna waited, while he leisurely took out some folders and spread them on the table. As I told you, your husband was killed in an accident. This man was very thoughtful, because he had done everything he could to get you here while he was still alive. His organs he ordered to be donated, but the rest, that's another story. He finally finished arranging all the folders on the table. Anna looked at him and couldn't believe that this man was talking about Sam now, thought out, ordered. It didn't seem to be working. What's the story? She didn't understand much. Your husband left you not so little, but you will get it all only after you take his remains to your homeland and bury them where he was born, the man said. Now they were using an electronic translator. It made more sense. What remains? She looked at him. Sam, he kept his gaze on her too. If that's all, I agree, she thought. Her ex-husband was a confused man and still is. Now you and I will sign the documents, and you can realize the wish of her husband. He moved to the chair that was next to the girl. She signed many different papers. After that, she took the address where she should have picked up everything she needed to move, said goodbye, and left. Today, she didn't want to go anywhere else. She just went to the beach. There she decided to think about what and how. She imagined that she would take an urn with the ashes and take it with her, as she had seen in many movies. The next day, Anna went to the address. It was a large building, like a bank or a hospital. It was not clear to her. Let's go through. When the woman showed the papers, the specialist led her. They walked down a long corridor. After that, they entered a small room. There a young man opened a box in which there was a bag. "Where is the urn?" Anna looked at him. Not understanding, he waved his hands in front of her face. Well, she waited until everything was packed, signed a couple of papers, and went to the hotel. There, the woman found nothing else to do but put everything in her suitcase. It was in a closet, so Anna was very scared to be in that room. There were still 2 more days of her stay here. Have a safe trip. As they were escorted to the bus, the woman sniffed to see if anything smelled from her suitcase, but all was well. She was standing at the security check when one of the customs officers approached her. He said something, but she didn't understand. She only realized that he was calling her somewhere. Good afternoon. She was led into a small room where a man, English or not, was sitting. Anna could not understand. The good thing was that he spoke her language. "Why was I brought here?" she asked. "We found something strange in your suitcase." He indicated with his hand for her to put it on the table. Anna was afraid of what they would think of her when they saw what she was carrying. The suitcase was open. The customs officials stood looking, unable to figure out what it was. When it went through the X-ray, it was clear that inside were a couple dresses, personal hygiene equipment, and a large opaque something. "It's my ex-husband's bones." The woman admitted she didn't want to have the package opened. "What?" The man looked at her. "Here." She handed them all the documents. After reading them, the woman was taken to another office, where they also looked at the papers, then to the third office, where they issued a special certificate. "They gave you a ticket because you didn't notify anyone about it," Jacob explained to her, and they had gotten to know each other during the time they had been walking around. Good. She took everything he served her. "You need to pay for it," he advised her. "Thank you for everything." She really was grateful that he spoke English and that he was helping her. "You're welcome." Anna did everything the man told her to do. After that, he asked her to exchange phone numbers, and she flew back to her place in the USA. "Betty, come over." She called the one who talked her into doing all this. "Could you wait a couple of hours?" she asked. She had to finish her work. Of course, before Betty arrived, Anna went to the train station and bought 2 tickets for herself and a friend to go to the place where Sam used to live. Then, when she met her friend, she agreed to help with that too. "That's quite a story," the woman said when she heard the story. "I can't believe I did it myself," Anna laughed. They drove to the right place. There they had to walk a little more. After that, they found Samu's mother's grave, and it was necessary to bury him there. The girls didn't dig a deep grave. They just dug up the package, and that was the end of it. If it's not all a hoax, and I didn't bring something forbidden to the US, which will be taken away here, the money should come. I'll put a monument, Anna said, looking at the grave. "Let's go already." It was getting dark outside. I didn't want to stay at the cemetery. "Okay. You don't come to us, Sam." The rest the woman said to herself. Now she was at home again, and she contacted the notary, but there was no answer from him. The phone beeped. Anna stood up, picked it up. It was a message from Jacob. "Hi, bone carrier." He wrote to her with a funny smiley face at the end. "And I thought you wouldn't write." She was glad for the message. "My contract is up in a couple months. Going to the US, write the address." That way he was suggesting a meeting, so Anna thought. Good, and a winking smiley face at the end from her. She was glad that the man was communicating with her, probably liked her as much as she liked him. There was still no word from the notary, but Jacob wrote non-stop. Anna reread each message several times. She was already in love with this man, even though they hadn't spoken face to face. "I'll fly back tomorrow," she texted 2 months later. By now, Anna had stopped waiting for any money. She had taken out a loan to pay back her debt to Betty and to pay her lawyer. Waiting, they had already talked about her welcoming him home with the borscht Jacob missed so much. Another Alfonso. Natalie snickered as they talked on the phone. Why would you say that about a man you never met? Anna was hurt again, just as she'd been all those other times. She'd seen him, believed he wouldn't turn out like the others. I have never been wrong yet, laughed her friend into the phone. And you know, Let and Alfonso, with me and take that nothing to take, will realize that, and leave, agreed Anna. She was already so tired of loneliness that she agreed to meet with anyone. So why did you call? Natalie remembered that they were talking about Anna's new beau. I wanted you to meet an Alfonso, Anna said wryly. Okay, you'll meet him today, spend some time together, and then you'll introduce him. Natalie had no time today. Agreed, stood the woman at the stove and stirred borscht. When the time was approaching dinner time, there was a knock on the door, a heartbeat with excitement somewhere in her throat. She went to open the door. Hello, smuggler. Jacob came in, flowers in his hands. She took the flowers from him and went to put them in a vase. It had been ages since anyone had given her anything, much less bouquets. The man walked straight into the kitchen, from where such aromas were coming from that he couldn't resist. Pouring. She took a plate in her hand. Of course, he even clamored how much he wanted to taste the homemade borscht. Here, she set the plate in front of him. Thank you for not refusing. He began to eat. It's all so strange, just arrived and already here, sitting at the table and eating. She also sat down. Anna, I can't talk or I'll bite my tongue off. He was enjoying himself. I have more pie. She put it on the table. When the man had had enough, he suggested the woman take a walk. They wandered around the city, looking at shop windows. Anna told him about her life and he about his. She remembered that she'd done the same thing with Sam once before. Only last time she'd been scared to think about where he'd sleep, and today she wanted to. I'm staying at a hotel near your house. It's like he read her mind. What? I thought you were staying at my place, she said with disappointment. I would have liked to, but I didn't know how you'd take it, he laughed. It's fine, not 15 years old anymore. Here Sam never thought how it would be for her. After that thought, she realized that she was constantly comparing Jacob and Sam. Okay, that's it for now, we'll see later. He took her hand, it felt good. Tomorrow I'll introduce you to my friend, she said, and it looked like she'd take him to see him. Good, he agreed with her on everything. They went back to her house. Do you have a son? He asked her from the room while she was preparing tea in the kitchen. Yes, startled Anna, because she hadn't told him anything about him and didn't want to yet. She came into the room and caught Jacob looking through a photo album that she herself had not put away. Where is he now? The man asked. I don't want to talk about it yet. She averted her eyes. If you don't want to, we won't. Jacob took the teacup. As agreed, the next day they went to the restaurant where Natalie was waiting for them. She, as soon as she saw the man, showed her friend the class so he wouldn't see. This is Natalie and this is Jacob. Anna introduced them as they approached the table. My pleasure. The woman spoke the truth. Likewise, they were seated. All that was left was to order. What was it that won you over, my friend? Natalie wanted to know. You know, I've been working at customs for 20 years, but it's the first time I've seen corpses, or rather bones, being transported in a suitcase. He spoke as if he was telling a secret. Really? She looked at Anna, who blushed. Believe me, I saw it with my own eyes. He was still whispering. And what happened next? Natalie was curious. And Anna was tense at that moment because the money never came to her. Maybe it was true. Sam was up to something. They'd drugged the bag, and she'd smuggled it all in. But how do you admit that to Jacob? It's okay, she avoided answering. Okay, we'll get back to that, her friend promised her. They had a great time. When Jacob and Anna got home, the woman saw a message from Natalie. It's a great choice, friend, she wrote. Anna smiled, pleased that she wasn't the only one charmed by the man. "Would you like to stay over?" she asked him that evening. "I don't mind." He put his arm around her and pulled her to him. So quick, she didn't mind the kiss. "I really like you," he said the words to her face. "And I like you." She waited for their lips to touch. And Jacob finally did. It felt like she was standing in an anthill, and the little ants were now spreading over her body. "You're mine," he told her, lifting her in his arms and laying her on the bed. "I don't mind," she smiled. "And let it be. If he's deceiving her, and it's not serious, she'll have a wonderful time in the company of the best man." Coffee? Anna heard it in the morning. It woke her up. Yes, she was pleasantly surprised. No one had ever brought her coffee in bed before. "Darling," he put a cup and saucer with a scone in front of her. Where did the pastries come from? She couldn't understand a thing. "They sell them on the first floor of your house. I noticed it yesterday." Jacob was wearing the same underwear. Anna admired him. "And you?" She looked at the plate. He lay down next to her and kissed her shoulder. Could it be true? She bit into the soft and still hot bun. It couldn't be truer. He kissed her again. "Jacob, I need to tell you something." She turned to him. "Are you married?" There was such sadness in his eyes. "No, I have a son on trial," she mumbled. "A lawyer?" The man asked immediately. "Yes, I've taken out a loan to hire one, but I'm afraid I'll have to pay again soon." Her eyes filled with tears. "Don't worry about that," Jacob told her. He leaned back on the pillow, thinking about something. Anna was afraid that she had scared the man away from her with those words. After coffee and a scone, the woman went to wash her face, and as she passed the computer, she saw that there were several unread emails. "Here it is, the mortgage, and also alimony," the woman muttered quietly. "What are you babbling about?" Jacob shouted from the room. "Nothing." She rolled down the window so he wouldn't see. She wanted to get dressed and run to the bank branch right now, but she pretended she wasn't in a hurry. "I'm off to work." She kissed Jacob, and he went outside with her. He had to pick up his things from the hotel. "Goodbye." He looked after her. Anna called to say she'd be late, but she was already standing in the doorway of the bank. Indeed, she had an impressive amount of money in her account. She didn't make any withdrawals and went to work. "Betty, hi," she called her friend. "So, you didn't come?" They've been talking about that lately. "They came, you can imagine. Now I have enough for the lawyer and all the other debts. It was Jacob who brought me happiness," Anna said loudly. "Did he come?" Betty was surprised that he still doesn't know about it. Imagine, Anna couldn't be happy. In the evening, a hot welcome and the same dinner were waiting for her at home. Anna considered whether or not to tell Jacob about her inheritance, but she decided not to tell Jacob about her inheritance. Michael was convicted, and again, the lawyer did his best, so he didn't get much time. "Do you think he'll be like that?" Anna asked her favorite man. "When he gets out, I'll try to talk to him." Jacob was determined. "When are you going to work?" She was afraid of this question. She knew that Jacob had a contract with her again. "I fly out in a month," he hugged her. "I'll be waiting." She kissed him. "Of course you will, because a wife should wait for her husband." He pulled a ring out of his pocket. "You're the best." She took his hand. "Do you think Michael will mind if we get married without him?" He looked at the woman and smiled. "I think not." She was happy. For the first time in her life, she didn't have to run anywhere, earn something, give something away, worry about other people. Now she had someone who did all that for her. "Natalie, I'm getting married," she shouted into the phone. "I congratulate you." For the first time, her friend replied without teasing. "You have no idea how happy I am." Anna saw Jacob enter the room and walked over to him. They went to the registry office to get married before the man's flight and wrote the application. They were promised to be married in a week. Natalie and her husband and Betty. Here were all the friends who attended the cementing of the happy union. Bitterly, they shouted in the restaurant, though there were other people here. But Jacob and Anna didn't care about them.
Ariana never knew or guessed how her life would turn out. She grew up in an ordinary family with a mother and father, both ordinary people. She went to kindergarten, then to school, and after that she entered the technical college. Ariana, what do you study there all the time? Asked her friend, with whom they lived together in the dormitory. You should study a little too, she reproached her. Well, we are not given our youth to spend it sitting behind the textbooks, replied the neighbor cheerfully. Well, if you think so, Ariana agreed with her and continued to study. Not to say she knew everything well, her grades were average, but if she didn't read and study, she wouldn't have. Once Ariana agreed to go for a walk with her neighbor. It was spring, it was sunny outside, everything was beginning to bloom, and the girls were in the same mood. Oh, we have a new girl in the company, said one of the guys. Yes, this is Ariana, my roommate, introduced her girlfriend. And I'm Max, approached her the one who first noticed her. Ariana was very shy. She had never socialized before, much less dated boys. The guy sat down next to her. It just made her dizzy. That afternoon, and then the evening, they sat for a long time just in the park. Max tried to woo. The girl noticed it. She was pleased. Well, we'll probably go home. Got up from her seat, the one who'd brought her here today. I'll walk Ariana home myself, Max said then. It's on the way. We're in the same room, said her friend. So what? There are so many suitors sitting there. Take anyone and go, he showed her. Okay, she seemed offended. Why did you do that? Ariana asked him as they walked away from everyone. I really liked you. I wanted to hang out with you. He didn't bullshit her. Good. She blushed a little because she liked the guy too. Ariana had never imagined what it could be like to see a man like that and disappear. Maybe because it was the first time, or maybe for some other reason. They were walking through the evening streets, and Max didn't take the shortcut. He took a detour. We have to be there in time for closing, she warned him. I know, he smiled. They walked on in silence, but not for long. Tell me something about yourself, the boy asked her. What was it? Ariana immediately imagined that she had to start with her childhood, her parents, her school. What you're into, how you live, what you dream about. Max put her on the right track. Oh, you mean that? She was laughing. Yeah, what are you talking about? Looked at her. Nothing, she smiled again, imagining how she would have started now from time immemorial. Well, I'm ready to listen, the boy hurried. I have nothing to say. I graduated high school, came here, and that's it. I'm studying. She was laughing now. Well, what do you like? Drawing, singing, dancing. He didn't know why he asked, but for some reason he wanted to know. I don't know. No main hobby. A little bit of everything, she shrugged. Ariana used to draw, and she even liked it. But when she got in and started studying, she gave it up. Her easel that her parents had given her was still standing while lying around. I see. So we'll look for something we both like, he told her. They reached the dormitory, said goodbye, and agreed to meet the next day. Ariana went up to her room. The roommate was already here. She was lying on the bed, facing the wall. Are you offended? The girl asked her, but she didn't even turn around. Ariana shrugged, undressed, turned off the light, and lay down too. Tonight, she dreamed about Max. For some reason, the girl thought that God had sent him to her, that he was her destiny. The next day, she didn't want to think about her studies. She dreamed about her new acquaintance. She liked him so much. Her neighbor never spoke to her. Ariana didn't understand what she had done to make her so angry for so long. When the girl was leaving the technical school, she saw that Max was already waiting for her. I didn't think you would come here, she approached him. I decided not to wait for anything and immediately invite you. He hugged her with one arm, and the young people walked down the sidewalk. And where are we going? Decided to ask the girl. You'll find out soon, he spoke enigmatically. Good, the girl liked surprises. She realized that she needed to prepare for her exams, and in general, for the lessons that were assigned. But next to him, Ariana didn't think about anything else. She didn't need anything, just to be together with this young man. They came to a small restaurant, sat down at a table. Max ordered something unpretentious because he realized that the girl, after studying, hungry. First the guy and the girl had a little snack, and then went to talk. What only they didn't talk about today. I feel like I've known you all my life, Max said to Ariana. I have the same feeling, and it was only the second day of their acquaintance. Today the guy walked her to her dormitory, and they never parted again. He came to pick her up every day, or they met in the park. How grateful the girl was to her roommate for taking her out that night. When the vacation started, Ariana took Max to meet her parents. Wow, you sent her off to get her diploma, but you brought a fiancé, her father told her when they met and laughed. Yes, meet Max. This is Max, and we love each other very much, she said and looked at the young man. At first the parents as well as the young men were a little shy. Mom asked if they were going to sleep together or separately. Ariana blushed and said separately, but Max said they were adults. They could sleep next to each other. The woman then appreciated that the guy could decide things. Would you like me to show you how I cook dolma? Max asked once. Of course, I have never even heard of such a dish, the father was surprised. So Max took all the ingredients and started cooking. He tried so hard that it was funny for Ariana to watch him. So it's practically our stuffed cabbage, only smaller and not in cabbage, her mom wondered then. You could say that, the young man nodded his head. The boy showed them many other things that no one knew. The father learned new things for himself and praised his daughter for choosing a wonderful guy. They spent almost half of the vacation visiting her, and then they had to go back because school was starting. Why don't you move in with me? Max asked her when she was getting ready to move back into the dorm in early September. Wouldn't I embarrass you? She looked at him and realized that he was definitely her other half. What are you talking about? He took her by the waist and pulled her to him. Ariana decided she had nothing to think about. They had been together all summer, so now she just stayed, and that was it. Now the girl went straight from the apartment to the technical school. It was convenient because it only took a few minutes to walk. Previously, from the dormitory, even if you go yards, it took 15 minutes, and now it was only 5. She was so happy to have such a reliable and beloved person with her, and she was afraid of only one thing, to lose him. Every evening Max arranged some surprise for the girl. She loved it so much that she was already waiting for it. And today, they had dinner, then went to the room, watched a little TV. Max went to the light switch. The light in the room went out. That was it. She asked him a question. And what else? Did not understand the guy. What about the surprise? I'm so used to them already. Though it was dark, Ariana looked in his direction. Will you marry me? The guy asked her. Max, it's not done that way at all, she laughed. What does it matter if there is love between two people, the way it is done? He started kissing her. Do you have a ring? She wasn't begging, she was just asking. Of course, he rummaged his hand under her pillow and pulled something out. It was dark in the room, so he couldn't see. Why is it there? Ariana wondered again. Wanted you to find it in the morning. Still the same sans selenium, he told her. I agree, she hugged him, and it seemed to Max that she was crying. It was settled then, he hugged her tighter, and so they fell asleep. The next day, Ariana called her parents. The guy didn't have them. Told them she was getting married, what her father offered her, but Ariana refused it all. She had no money of her own, and it was inconvenient to spend other people's money. Then they agreed that the daughter would tell them the date when the event would take place, and then they would come. At the registry office, they were assigned a day. The woman who accepted the application in general offered to sign in a week, but the young refused, because the girl's relatives would not have time to come. "Aren't you going to call your friends?" Ariana asked Max. "Do you want to?" He was ready to do anything for her. No, she was just asking. She felt bad that he was talking to them and wouldn't invite them to the wedding. That was it, so it would be as they decided. He kissed her again, and again, and again. It was decided not to buy a dress. Max had a suit, so the costs were minimal. "Congratulations," said the mother and father when the young put their signatures. "Thank you," they hugged. "So, that's it. You took our daughter from us?" The father shook Max's hand. "Yes, you are not the only ones to be happy." He looked at his wife and was happy. He could not even imagine before that he could see this diamond among the crowd, but now she was next to him, and he was happy immensely. After the registry office, it was decided to go to a restaurant and a little to celebrate the event. After all, that was the birth of a new family. Parents were also not against it. If they were given the will, they would have thrown a grand feast. The relatives spent the night at the young people's house because there was nowhere else to go. "It's all right," they said, "as long as we're cramped." And in the morning, Ariana's parents went home. From that moment, she began her real adult life. In May, Max and Ariana were to graduate. They were so happy about it, because then they wanted to get a job, have a baby, and do many other things. But all this was not destined to come true. Max received a summons. "I thought you had already." The girl looked at him confused. She did not want to part with the man who had become everything for her, love, air, life. No, he shook his head. He himself was very offended by it, because he also did not want to part. "Well, that's all right. I'll wait for you, and I think you believe I will." Ariana wanted to cry, but she held on. With tears, she would only show the guy how hurt and sad she was, and she didn't want him thinking about that right now. "It's going to be okay, Max," as if he was supporting not only her, but himself as well. He was holding on as best he could too. He didn't want to hurt her. Now he had to go through medical exams and other procedures, and then he would leave. Ariana was so afraid of this day, but she couldn't help it. It was fast approaching. And now, they were on the platform. She was crying. He was crying too, though he didn't want to show it. "I love you," his wife whispered into his chest. "And I you." He leaned over and did the same into her hair. Their hands parted. He climbed into the wagon and waved she to him. This time was the last time Ariana saw her lover. He left and she went home. She didn't feel like doing anything at all for a week. And then she got her first letter. Max wrote that they were in boot camp. Everything was fine. Ariana answered him, she wrote, and she didn't have enough lines to tell him everything, how much love she had for him. Several months passed. All this time the young people corresponded, but for a while the letters stopped. Before that, they wrote almost every day, and now, it had been almost 2 weeks, there was nothing. And then finally, there it was, the long-awaited letter, in which Max wrote that he was being sent to a hot spot, and most likely there would be no letters yet. Ariana cried and pressed the paper against her. Well, how could it be? She couldn't understand. The girl just cried all day after that. But 3 weeks later, she had to receive worse news. The military enlistment office came to her. Her heart sank into her heels. She looked at the man in uniform and realized he wasn't bringing her good news. "Your husband died a brave death." She heard the words as if through absorbent cotton. She didn't question anything, didn't say anything, just settled back against the wall. Then there was the lineup, the funeral, the honor guard. But Ariana barely remembers any of that either. Her parents were there to support. Unfortunately, there was nothing they could do for their daughter. "Thank you for everything. You can go home," sat the grief-stricken girl and said to her father and mother. She didn't want to see or hear from anyone right now. And no amount of condolences or anything else would save her, much less bring back her loved one. "Are you sure you can handle it?" Her father came up to her. He loved his daughter and wished her well. They had already offered her to move in with them, but she had flatly refused. Yeah, she shook her head. And why ask that? You can handle it. You can't handle it. It just so happens. He's gone and she needs to accept it. The man and woman saw fit to leave their daughter alone. They realized how hard it was for her right now, so they quietly packed up and left. How could it be? Ariana looked at Max's picture. Why did you leave me? You promised to come back. You said that everything would be fine, and you didn't do it. She cried harder and harder. They had been together, just nothing, and now he was gone altogether. He had left her alone. Ariana decided to stay in this apartment, and even though everything reminded her of her lover, it made her feel better. She realized that she had to go out to work, because she didn't want to go to her parents, much less ask them for help. And then, all the time walking and talking to herself was disgusting. She had to do something. Hello. She began to go to different stores and asked if anyone needed a salesman. But no one would take her on, mostly because of her lack of experience and seniority. What am I supposed to do? She didn't understand. Ariana sat on the couch at home, crying and turning to herself again. She had dinner and looked at the newspaper. In the advertisements, she saw that a large firm needed a cleaner. Anything was suitable now. Why, I don't need much. This will do for now, she decided to herself. In the morning, she called the phone number that was listed at the end of the ad. Yes, come in, they told her on the phone. It turns out you don't need any experience to go to work as a technician, she said to herself in the mirror. Ariana put on her usual dress and left the house. The walk wasn't very close, so she timed it just in case. Good afternoon. I called today about the cleaning lady. She walked into the reception area. Yes, come in. They're waiting for you. The receptionist pointed to the door. Ariana walked through. A middle-aged man was sitting at the desk. He saw the girl and smiled. After that, he told her the front of the job and sent her to HR to make it official. Thank you. I won't let you down. Ariana walked away from him, firmly convinced that she could handle all the difficulties, no matter how hard they might be. There was a silver lining. The hard work would take her mind off Max. Can I congratulate you? The secretary asked her. Yes, Ariana smiled modestly. She had been offered a salary that she would have gotten less as a salesperson. Of course, the work was physical, but Ariana did not calm herself down. She would try, she should succeed. The girl gave her documents, and the next day she had to start work. And today, she went home to think it over. There was something new and unknown ahead. Billy, where are you? Shouted to the boy's father. He had been waiting for him for several minutes, the boy said now, but he was stuck for a long time. Yes, here I am, now, ran from his room, young man. How long can I wait for you? The man had been ready for a long time. Fishing rods, boots, bait, and everything else. Couldn't find a net. He showed him the fishing tackle. I see. Let's go, smiled Dad. He was pleased that the guy is not just for interest with him and understands something. He and his son were going to go fishing together for a long time. And so, today the man had a day off, or rather to say, a little free time. They went behind the house. There was no need to go anywhere, because the pond was right behind their vegetable garden. It was very convenient, because a pond was not a luxury, it was just what they needed for recreation. When Billy's father was young, he dreamed of having his own house with a fish pond. And when he had finished his schooling, he started his own business. After that, when the business began to bring a good income, he bought a house with a plot of land from some grandmother and began to improve it. First, he started on the house, which was a blue dream. During the construction, he went to the store with building materials, and there he met a pretty girl who was young and free. Shall we get acquainted? Then the man asked her. He had long paid attention to her, and now he dared. Why not? She immediately began to make eyes at him, because the man was prominent, and it was immediately clear that he had money. "Then I invite you to the restaurant tonight," he simply said to the girl, and that's how Billy's parents met. First they had dinner, and then together with his girlfriend, and later with his wife. The man finished the house and started to work on the plot. At first, some buildings appeared. There was a bathhouse, sauna, even an indoor swimming pool, as well as various sheds, chicken coops, aviaries, and more. And so, when everything was already ready, the owner of the house decided to do the pond. Good, the land was still there. It took a long time, but he managed to do it. He made a large pond where he launched fish. And when his wife got pregnant, the husband was happy that with his son will go on a real fishing trip, whenever it suits him. And today was the day. "Did you bring everything with you?" Billy asked his father. The boy worried about it all the time. Of course, he grinned. He liked swimming with his son. They didn't spend much time together, so at least they could talk, see how things were going. "Who will row?" asked the man, because he wanted his son not to feel superfluous. "Come on, I'll do it first, and when I get tired, you'll take over," the boy rejoiced. Agreed. They got into the boat and swam to the middle of the pond, which was not so small. Billy came into the family, and as soon as he began to understand, knew that nothing forbidden in this life would be for him. As a child, he had a lot of toys. Yes, such that some children did not even know about. He went to an ordinary kindergarten because there was no other, but everyone envied him there. "Can I have a party tonight?" he asked his parents. At that moment, he was only 10 years old. The first time he was allowed to do it, then Billy began to repeat it very often. And when he turned 13, he and his friends began to gather in the sauna. Later, girls joined them. The father had nothing to spare for his only son. He was ready to buy and let him do whatever he asked. And Billy himself knew that he had everything he wanted, so he took advantage of his father's kindness. "So, son, where are you going to go after high school?" his father asked him when he was in the 11th grade. "Is it obligatory?" The boy did not understand why you cannot buy a diploma. "Look, I can do anything for you, but a bought diploma is the last thing." The man did not approve of the idea. "Okay," Billy stretched out. He didn't want to do it so badly, but he had to do what Dad said. "Okay, I can make concessions for you. You get in, and I'll take you to work for me." He looked at him. "But how will I study?" He didn't understand. "There are correspondence courses." The father hugged his son. "Thank you at least for that." The boy was happy. "But full-time you'll still study a little." Dad wanted the boy to feel what it was like. That was the end of their conversation. They had to finish school. By his senior year, Billy had gotten so cocky that he didn't listen to anyone or pay attention to anyone. He obeyed and did everything his father said, and no one else, only he was an authority. "Will you come to my sauna tonight?" He could approach any girl in class or on the street. She could be someone he didn't know at all. No, they'd turn him away. "How about this?" He'd show them a few bills. "You won't tell anyone, will you?" They whispered and looked around. "What are you, a grave?" He covered his mouth with his hand, though he didn't need to, because all those girls were one-night stands. After that, he just forgot them. By the time the guy started working for his father, he had no principles left at all. He did what he wanted. "Hello," he entered the office. "Good morning," looked at him those who sat there. But he didn't have time to say anything before his father's assistant walked into the office and told him to come into his office. "Billy, it's time to get serious." He looked sternly at his son. "Okay, what do you need to do?" In front of his father, his knees were shaking a little. "Nothing, for now," corrected the chief. Then why all this talk? Didn't understand Billy. To speak respectfully to the employees, not to be rude to anyone, not to insult. The father wagged his finger at him, the boss. "I understand everything. I'll behave like a silk," he promised. "I believe you," stood up, and shook hands with his son's subordinate father. The one left the office and went to where he had just come from. "Hello again." He said hello to his colleagues. They looked at him like an idiot and continued working. "We'll see who's in charge," the young man said in a low voice and took his seat at the table. He only had a rough idea of what people did here, so for now he just sat and stared at the instructions. In a short time, the young man had made friends with some of the people who worked here. Now they could linger in the evenings, talking, and later, not only that. "Son, of course, I understand that at work it is important to have a friend, but I think you are abusing," his father once told him. "Come on, these people are friends with me honestly, not for something," he said to him. "Okay, but you drink in the workplace," the boss said directly what he meant. "What do you think? A little relaxed. What, you can't?" sniggered the son. "A little you can, but last time, remember what you left behind." "I didn't want to push, but that's how it worked, father." "Well, we'll be more careful from now on," promised the boy, and that was the end of the conversation. But not 2 months after that, he gathered his friends again after work. "Can we go somewhere?" one of them asked. "Why would we do that when we can have fun here, especially since we have everything for that?" He took out a bottle of expensive alcohol from the table. "Okay, you got it here, so here," said the colleagues. After that, unrestrained fun began. Young people drank, shouted. The music played loudly, but it did not bother anyone. "Is it true that your father lets you do everything?" asked one of those who were here. "Are you jealous?" Billy answered the question with a sneer. "No, I was just asking." He took offense, stood up, took his jacket, and went to the door. "I guess I'll go too." The other one got up too. "You're just going to leave me here alone?" Billy didn't understand. "Yes, it's time to go home," was the reply of the one who had already gone out of the door. Well, screw you, though Billy had promised his father, but now he couldn't help sending his comrades. He was left alone in the study, poured himself another bottle, drank, didn't know what to do next, decided to go somewhere to relax. Only he opened the door of the office as he ran into a girl. She was with a mop and a bucket. "What are you doing here?" he asked her in a drunken voice and staggered back. "I thought no one was here. I came to clean the office." She heard what was going on, so she stayed a little longer. She thought, looking at Billy from head to toe. "I'll be off then, since you're still here." She turned around. "Have a drink with me." He offered her a drink. No, she wanted to leave, but he held her hand tightly. "What do you mean no? No one refuses me in this life." He furrowed his brow. "Then I'll be the first." She wrenched her hand away and walked down the hall. Billy caught up with her in 2 strides, gagged her, and shoved her into the back room. "What's that for?" The girl resisted. "I just want to." He unbuttoned his pants. He couldn't do it, he panted. "And you don't care about other people's opinion." She stood in the corner, unable to move. "Shut up." He finally got what he couldn't do for so long. The girl cried out. Billy fumbled for her mouth and clamped it shut, and immediately got the hardest bite. "Oh, you," he hit her. She passed out. The young man did everything already in complete silence. He wheezed, breathed deeply, finally collapsed. After that, he got up, shook himself off, got out, and walked towards the exit. "Are you staying out late again tonight?" the guard on the first floor asked him. "You don't have to worry about that," still pissed off at Billy. He hailed a cab, got in, and calmly drove home. He didn't even once think about what might become of the poor thing he'd left in the back room. "Son, what's the matter with you?" His mother ran up to him as he entered the house. "Leave me alone," walked to Billy's bathroom to wash the wound on his arm. After that, he undressed and lay down on the bed to get a good night's sleep, because tomorrow he had to go to work again. In the morning, Billy woke up. He was in a great mood. He didn't remember what he had done yesterday. He was calmly going to work. When he got there, his father called him into his office again. I know you're going to tell me about sitting around at work again." His son sat down across from him. Don't you realize that this is serious? The man looked at him. I do, but sometimes you have to relax. He shook his head. Then why are you doing this? I am everything to you, the father lamented. I promise not to do it again. The young man stood up and went to his office. He walked down the hallway, looking for the girl he had met here yesterday, but she was nowhere to be found. Lily went into his office, looked at his colleagues, with whom he had a fight yesterday, smiled, went to his seat. He didn't talk to anyone else that day. Colleagues also, as well as Billy, were reprimanded by the boss for going along with him and staying here with him, so they didn't stay at work any longer. Hi, can you tell me where reception is? The young man had already been working at this firm for a year, and now he was stopped by a very pretty girl. Sure enough, Lily smiled at her and led her down the hall. They entered the reception area, and she walked to the supervisor's office, while the guy stuck to the receptionist. Who's this? He attacked the girl with questions. What, did you like it? She smiled. Tell me to settle in or just some kind of check. He didn't know what else to assume. Settling in, the girl looked up from her paperwork. Good. He turned to the window and smiled at Billy. The girl walked out. She headed for the exit. Wait, jumped the young man from his seat. Yes, she turned around. So, did they get you? He followed her down the corridor. No, there are no suitable vacancies, she replied sadly. Don't feel bad. Would you like me to buy you a drink? Billy glanced at his father's door, thinking it wouldn't hurt if he left for a couple of hours. I'm probably distracting you from your work, aren't I? She suggested. Come on, if that were the case, I wouldn't be suggesting such a thing, he laughed. I won't say no to coffee then. The guy and the girl were already at the exit. That's fine. They went to a cafe that was very close by. My name is Billy, he introduced himself gallantly. I'm Katie. She laughed at the way he spoke. Nice to meet you. He opened the door for her to come in. Likewise, now Katie was starting to feel embarrassed in front of him for some reason. They sat at a table and drank coffee, talking about different topics. The girl told him that she had recently graduated from school. She wanted to go to work, and at the same time to study further. Billy envied such eagerness, but he didn't say anything about it. Why don't we have dinner tonight? He looked at his watch. With pleasure, the girl smiled openly. That's great, rejoiced the young man. He really liked her. Previously, there were girls so for once, and this one he wanted to protect, to take care of. After the young men had finished their coffee, they went their separate ways, Billy back to work and Kathy somewhere else. When he returned to the office, no one even noticed his absence. Billy sat down at his desk and could think of nothing else but his new acquaintance. He went home early today because he wanted to get ready for the meeting. Billy asked his mother to get him a suit. She was surprised. It wasn't often, one might say never, that her son asked her for such a favor. For a date? She prepared everything he'd asked for. Yes, and I want your advice on what to buy as a present. For the first time since he was little, Billy asked his mother for something. Flowers and a small gift for the first time. Let it be something simple, the woman said. Thank you. Billy went up to her, and in that moment, he realized that he had done a lot of things wrong in his life. My darling, I know we have spoiled you, but you are still our most favorite boy, hugged and cried his mother. I'm sorry, he looked at her again. No need, you better bring your girlfriend to meet you, she told him. I promise, but not today, and she's not my girlfriend yet. He put on his suit and left the house early to go to the store. With Kathy, they had arranged to meet near the entrance to the restaurant, and Billy was anticipating the meeting. He stood in the flower store, wondering if this was the first time this had ever happened to him. He really liked the girl. Can you advise me what flowers to buy for a first date? He asked the clerk. Get some white roses, the sales clerk advised him. Thanks, I'll do that. He took out the money and paid. After that, Billy went to another store. He decided to buy Kathy some perfume. Today he saw her, and the girl reminded him of morning, dew, freshness. That was exactly the flavor he was going to pick up for her. When the young man told all this to the girl behind the cash register, she immediately handed him a small bottle. Billy inhaled the fragrance and realized that it was the one. "I'll take it," he said without a doubt. The box was packed at the customer's request, and now, ready, Billy went to the meeting place with the one he wanted to see always. When the young man approached the restaurant, no one was there. Thought the girl might be inside. He quickly climbed the stairs, went in. But there was no one there, or rather, there were people, but not the one the guy was waiting for. His hands went down. He lowered his head. He thought that she wouldn't come. "Sorry, I'm late." He heard her voice from behind him. "Katie." Billy turned around, "and I thought I'd never see you again today. It just so happened." She looked at the flowers. "Ah, yes," he realized, and handed the girl the bouquet. Delighted, they still stood at the entrance. But they were quickly approached by a man who led the couple to a table. "What will you drink?" Was looking at the young man's menu. "If possible, a little wine," she asked. "Good, then I'll have some wine too." Billy called the waiter over, made him an order, and then turned to the girl. "What?" she stammered. "I don't know." He spoke honestly to her. "It's the first time in my life this has happened to me." "What exactly?" Katie really didn't understand. "Falling in love or something." Billy blushed at first sight. "Me?" She sat across from him and looked him straight in the eye. "Well, who else?" He looked around for a laugh. "We don't know each other at all." She picked up her napkin. "We'll find out," he promised her. At that moment, Billy remembered that he had bought Kathy a present. Just he was about to reach for it when he saw the waiter carrying their order. He decided to wait until the glasses were filled. "Thank you." Kathy thanked the man who poured their wine and looked at her companion again. "Kathy," he raised his glass, "I want to drink to the most beautiful girl I have ever met." "Thank you." She raised hers as well. "When I met you today, I thought I should give you a gift, but I couldn't think of what kind. And you know, you may not like it, but that's the scent I associate you with." He placed a small box on the table. "Billy," why she blushed, clutching her cheeks. "I don't know, if we're together, you'll always smell like that, and if we're not, you'll keep the gift from me." He couldn't believe himself for saying such a thing. Just like that, all at once. All in one night. It was the first time Katie had ever met a guy like that either. She had dated guys before, but it took a long time to get to the point of gifts and confessions. "It makes me want to take you and never let you go again," Billy confessed to her. "Good," she laughed. After dinner, the young man walked the girl home, where they agreed to meet tomorrow. For now, he held her hand and didn't want to let go. Until tomorrow, she looked at him in a way that Billy would never forget. "Well, where's our child disappearing to at this late hour?" His father welcomed him home. "Daddy, I think I'm in love," the son told him. "Do you really believe that, mother?" The man laughed. "Why not? He was buying flowers and gifts for her today." His wife approached him. "Wow, and I thought he would live his whole life like that." His father came up to him and patted him on the shoulder. "Nothing funny about it," Billy said resentfully, and went to his room. From that moment on, the boy forgot about everything. He began to work, got involved in the process, and if before he understood little, now he was ready to conquer the mountains. Now, every day they met Kathy. Hi, every time she met him outside the firm. "Love," he kissed her. It had been a long time since the young man had been at work. "Where shall we go?" Katie was happy. "Anywhere you want." He was willing to do anything for this girl. "I don't want to go to a restaurant or a cafe, but just somewhere on the shore of a lake or a river," she said dreamily. "You know, let's go fishing." Billy glowed with happiness that he could offer such a thing to a girl. "How?" Katie's eyes were filled with both joy and consternation at the same time. "Very simple," the boy smiled. "But we have to go, and you have to work tomorrow. Can't we wait until the weekend?" She was really worried about him. You won't believe it. You don't need to go anywhere, just to visit me. He had been inviting her to meet his parents for a long time, but the girl was shy, postponing the meeting. You didn't know how to lure me there, she laughed. It's true, you'll see for yourself, Billy almost swore to her. Well, all right, she waved her hand, I'll do it. After that, the young people didn't drag their feet, they drove to Billy's parents' house. Mom, this is Kathy. They entered the house. The woman was in the kitchen. The father, as usual, was not home. Oh, why didn't you warn me? I would have cooked something tasty. The woman was worried. We're going fishing now, and you'll have time to do something. He looked at the girl. So you meant what you said? Katie looked at the young man as he said it in front of her mother. And you thought? Billy walked to the pantry and got the gift. Katie was in awe of everything. She looked around and marveled at how Billy's father had done things here. Today, they sat quietly in the boat. The fishing was good, so Billy and Kathy only had time to pull the fish out. That's enough, I think, or we'll have to do something about it, the young man told her. Yes, I'll help you and your mom, Katie said. She was having such a good time. After that, they just rode on the boat and talked. Kathy, will you marry me? Said Billy suddenly. So soon? She was surprised. What's the drag? He looked at the water. Really, I love you. You love me. We're good together. She touched his arm. So you agree? He stood up. The boat almost overturned. Careful. Please, she almost fell. I'm the luckiest man on Selenium, he shouted. And I love you. They docked at the shore, kissed. Mom, here's the fish. It smelled good at home. Now, son, the woman took the bucket. I'll help. Katie showed up. Good, smiled the woman. She liked her son's friend. Mom, I proposed to Kathy, entered the joyful son to them. So, we will have a festive dinner tonight. The woman was very happy, but did not show it much, because she knew the character of her son. Today, he could grab onto something he liked, and tomorrow, when he got bored, throw it all away. So, you stay here and get ready, and I'll go to the store, Billy said. Okay, the women smiled. Billy left. He wanted to buy the most beautiful ring. He called his father and told him about everything. He promised he would be there tonight. Katie also called her parents, invited them to visit her future husband. They agreed to come, of course. Well, what? Let's raise our glasses to the happy future of the young, muttered the head of the family. Hurrah, said Billy. He was happy for himself. After that, Katie stayed with Billy. The wedding was to take place in 3 weeks. The preparations were in full swing. The groom's parents spared nothing. The bride was very beautiful, and the groom was glowing with happiness. I have something to tell you, Katie whispered in Billy's ear. Can we do it later? The groom was very nervous for some reason. Yes, but I think you'll be happy to hear it, she told him. All right, what do you got? He watched the guests drive up. You're gonna be a daddy soon. She looked at him and smiled. What? He froze, and then slowly turned to his future wife. Just like that, all at once, the girl waved her hands. My darling, he lifted Katie in his arms. That's it, let go, squealed the girl. After this news, Billy's mood was even better than before. He was glowing with happiness. When they were announced husband and wife, and they went to the restaurant, the first thing the groom did was to announce to all the guests the happy news that he himself had learned only a few hours ago. The wedding was over. The young people stayed to live in the husband's house. Everything was made for life here. Kathy liked everything very much. She did not work anywhere. Like her mother-in-law, she stayed at home. They cooked, waited for their husbands to come home from work, and they tried not to be late. Why don't you and I go out anymore? Katie would ask her husband that night. Look, there's so much to do at the company. I can't keep up, he told her. I understand, but I'm bored at home alone, the wife complained. Well, we'll go out this weekend, Billy promised her, and Kathy believed him. And he kept his promise. On the weekend they went to the movies, and after that they went to a restaurant. Well, how's your soul? Holding Billy's hand. Yes, thank you, my love, but I wish we had more of these outings, his wife told him. They sat some more. Already everything had been drunk and eaten. Now the young people were just talking. Nothing bothering you? Billy asked when Kathy started to wrinkle and grabbed her stomach. No, something prickled. The period was already long, so Billy was worried. How much longer to walk? He asked, because he couldn't do the math himself. 2 months, she said calmly. Okay, at that moment his phone rang. Billy, Daddy's not feeling well. Come home quick. Mom yelled into the phone. What? He turned to Katie. What's wrong? She was worried. Let's go home, he paid, took his wife's hand, and they walked quickly towards the exit. Tell me what's going on. The girl started to get nervous. Daddy is not feeling well, he said quickly. They were home in a few minutes, and the ambulance was already here. Billy. Mom ran out to him. She was crying. I'll go with him, the son said quickly. He walked towards the ambulance. Oh, almost sat down Katie. Daughter, what's wrong with you? Grabbed her mother-in-law's hand. I don't know, she squinted in pain. Billy, his mother shouted to him, and he looked over, saw that his wife wasn't feeling well, ran over. He was tearing up now. Let's go. He picked her up in his arms and called for the doctors. They saw that help was needed here too, quickly ran up. Now the doctors were in the car, one with a seizure, the other with stomach pain, and with them Billy, who was almost going crazy because he was worried about both of them. At the emergency room, Katie was taken to the delivery room and the man was taken to the intensive care unit. Billy couldn't move away. He was on duty under the doors, worried about his father. Unfortunately, a doctor came out of the room. Unfortunately what? The young man didn't understand him. He had a massive heart attack. We were not able to save him, the doctor mumbled. He did not look into his son's eyes. That can't be, sat down and covered his face with his hands. Better go to your wife. She's having a hard time too, the doctor advised him. Billy remembered about Katie and rushed to the neighboring ward. She was lying on the bed. Some apparatuses were attached to her. Sweetheart, how are you doing? Asked her inconsolable husband. How is your father doing? She asked practically with only one lip. He's dead, he didn't think, and said Billy. Ah, at this point, Kathy felt so bad she couldn't contain herself. What did you say to her? At that moment, a nurse came running into the room. Sorry, the young man's eyes widened as he saw how bad his wife was feeling. He had been forced out of the room where labor had begun. Everyone feared a dire outcome because things were not going as well as they should have. What happened next Billy didn't know. He didn't have the physical or emotional strength to bear it all. 2 people he loved dearly were now in the hospital, and one could no longer be saved. He was sedated and taken to a room to get some rest. Daddy, wake up. Billy felt himself being pushed. Oh yeah, he couldn't figure out where he was. Congratulations, you have a daughter. Only now you won't be able to see your wife or child, because both are in intensive care, the nurse shocked him at once. What about them? His mind cleared up immediately. He remembered last night. The woman had a cesarean, her blood pressure dropped and then went up a lot, and the baby is very weak, sick, she explained. Okay, Billy came to his senses completely. He decided that since there was no way to get to his wife and daughter now, he needed to take care of the father. He got ready, went home. His mother was in a state of distress. Where were you? Why didn't you answer the phone? What about Dad and Katie? She asked a lot of questions at once. She had circles under her eyes. It was obvious she hadn't slept. Mommy, sit down. He took her by the shoulders and put her in a chair. Is it bad? The woman said, and almost collapsed without feeling. The son went to the kitchen, found drops that Mom constantly dripped, diluted with water, and gave it to her. Dad's gone, massive heart attack. Katie had given birth last night. I think she was nervous. She and her daughter are in intensive care. He repeated what the doctors had told him. Oh my God, she took a sip from her glass. Now the woman looked like she was alive, but somewhere not here. Arrangements had to be made with everyone to make the funeral arrangements, and that was Billy's job. In just one night, the young man had to grow up. He went from carefree Billy to a serious man. He called here, there, ordered, refused, agreed. Finally, everything was done. And in 2 days, the farewell to her father was to take place. By this time, Katie had been moved out of intensive care. She was now in a simple ward. The husband arrived immediately. Did you see the daughter? What did you name her? He kissed her and peppered her with questions. I saw her. She's better now. We have Selena. Will be discharged soon. How are you? Katie was very thin. Selena, as if he could taste the name. After the funeral, everything the father had passed to his wife and son. Now he had to run the firm. Billy didn't change his father's deputies and assistants, as they knew everything and could help. The man himself was now torn between work and the hospital, where his wife and daughter were still hospitalized. He came to see them. Billy had spared no money on doctors. When almost 3 months had passed, mom and daughter were discharged. During that time they had changed several clinics. But now the girl, although she was weak, she was developing well. So, how are you doing? Billy asked her when they were fully settled at home. Good, but I'm afraid we won't be having any more children. Katie didn't look her husband in the eye. Maybe it's for the best. I don't want to go through that again, he humped her. After that, the family lived in the same house. Grandmother and mother took care of Selena, who grew up as a weak and sickly girl. Billy worked. Now there was no more drinking and partying in his mind. He had to not only provide for his family, but also raise the firm. When Selena was 4, the family decided it was time to put her in kindergarten. Can we hire a nanny and Selena will be homeschooled? Katie's mother-in-law asked. No nanny was against Billy. He remembered how he himself went to a regular kindergarten, decided that he would not bring up his daughter the way he had been brought up. Fine, whatever you say. Both his wife and mother agreed with him. By the time Selena went to 1st grade, the father decided to run for deputy and then for the head of the city. Are you sure that you will be able to pull it all off? You're still young, asked his mother. No, he shrugged his shoulders, but he was determined. Billy got into the deputies, and not in the city, but in the district. Now he could do a lot of things. The factory had gone to his mother, but the man hadn't stopped running it. So, family, Billy liked to gather everyone at the big table at home. What new stories? Nothing. We should be the ones asking you what's new, laughed Mom. Selena was more and more silent. She didn't talk to anyone in the family. She was kind of cloistered. Daughter, what's wrong? Daddy always paid attention. Nothing. She was embarrassed. Do you want to talk? Her father would ask her, like his father used to ask him. Yes, she nodded. Come on. He took her hand and they went into the other room. And there she cried that she was not loved at school by teachers and students because they knew whose daughter she was. They say that she can do anything, even though she doesn't do anything like that. So, daughter, do not pay attention to anyone, study well, because this knowledge will be very useful for you later. I didn't listen to my father at the time, so I have to catch up everything now, her father advised her. Good, Selena agreed. When the girl was in her final grades, she met Harry. The guy was a couple years older. He was a student at the local high school. Selena, always shy and taciturn, suddenly began to blossom before her eyes. They had been dating for a year. Selena was finishing 11th grade. The girl thought that everything in life would be fine. So, daughter, what are you going to do after graduation? As well as his once, asked her father. He was already a very influential man, not only in the city, but also in the region. He could help his child get into any educational institution. Billy had always dreamed of having a son, but his wife couldn't give him one. She even offered to take a boy from an orphanage, but Billy did not want it in any way, saying that he needed his son with his genes. That's why the man had plans for his daughter. What difference does it make, boy or girl? Her character can also be tempered so that she will manage all the affairs no worse than a man, he told his mother. Lately, the woman gave up a lot. More and more time she spent in bed. Granddaughter, daughter-in-law, and son took care of her. Dad, I didn't want to tell you this now, but I wouldn't want to go anywhere from our town after graduation. Selena sat next to him and said this. What are you talking about? If you stay here, you won't have any prospects, he wondered. I've fallen in love. Didn't raise her daughter's eyes at him. Harry and I have been together for a year now. What kind of love? What do you want? Selena turned away from her father. You have graduation coming up. Come on, you pass all your exams, and then bring your Harry to meet us. He hugged his daughter. She turned to him. Of course, he kissed his most favorite person. Thank you. You'll see he's nice. The girl's mood changed immediately. Okay, we'll see, said the father, smiling, thinking to himself that it's a complete nonsense. Selena happily went about every day now. She had passed everything that was required. Graduation was set. Well, get ready. Soon we'll go to meet my parents, she told her favorite in the evening, when the graduation was only a few days away. Maybe we shouldn't, he asked. What are you? Did not you say that you love me and would do anything for this? She looked into his eyes. Speaking, he put his arms around her, smiled, and looked off into the distance. Harry was born into a poor family, with only his mom as a relative. Yes, there were grandparents, but not anymore. Now Harry and his mom lived in a small apartment. He went to school. After 9th grade, he went to study to help his mother. And then he met Selena. He himself does not understand how this girl from a rich family paid attention to him. And now he has to go and meet her parents. So, sweetheart, are you ready? Her parents have been asking her since this morning. Of course, today was not only an exciting day because of the fact that the next stage in Selena's life was ending, but also because her boyfriend had to meet her family today. All was well. The diploma was in hand. Now everyone was going to the banquet. The girl spent some time with her classmates. She knew Harry was waiting for her. Hello. She saw him on the corner of the school. Hello. He looked at the girl with loving eyes. Are you ready? She asked him. No, but there's nothing to do, sighed the guy. Let's go, and remember, don't be afraid of anything. My father is strict but fair. It was obvious that Selena was happy with him. They arrived at the girl's house. They got out of the car. When they entered the house, no one greeted them. Strange, Selena wondered. What's strange to you? The father looked out. Why don't you greet us? She smiled at him. Don't you know the way? Billy tried to joke. He already saw who came with his daughter. Come in, children, the mother finally came out to them. They went into the room, sat down at the table. Hello. Harry looked at the man and immediately lowered his eyes. And what did you find in him? Couldn't understand his father. Yes, he tried to bring her up as a simple child, not to spoil her, and not to give all the benefits for nothing. But her father never expected her to bring a poor man into the house. Dad, you can't do that. Selena looked at him. She thought her father might have been drinking. That's why he was talking like that now. The girl was very uncomfortable in front of her guest. I can do anything, laughed Billy. Now you could recognize in him the major he was years ago when he didn't count with anyone. All right, calm down. We'll talk in private later. His wife put her hand on his shoulder. Good. It was obvious that the father did not want to talk at all. Harry, what are you doing? Katie asked him. Just a part-time job, here and there. He avoided a direct answer. Anyway, you don't have anything, do you? Billy asked cheekily. I'll earn it. Harry looked at him confidently. Yeah, you wait and be happy, the head of the family chewed. He wasn't interested in being here anymore. He realized everything from the first glance at this kid. So Billy got up from the table, thanked his wife, congratulated his daughter again, and left the room defiantly. The rest of us sat in silence. I should probably go. The guy looked at the girl. I'll see you off. Selena didn't want the scandal to continue. Besides, she saw that the young man was uncomfortable. Not for nothing I didn't want to go. People like your father are best not to mess with. They went out on the porch. He's nice. He's just probably not in the mood. Selena kissed him. Okay, bye, see you later. But on my turf, they said their goodbyes and Harry went home. He was very uncomfortable with what had happened today at his girlfriend's house, but he was a stubborn guy, and he wasn't going to back down. What, did you leave? Came back out to the table. As you can see, Selena was sad again. Daughter, think about it. Why do you need all this? He is a beggar. He has nothing. What can he give you? Said the father, while his voice was getting louder and louder. You'd think you had it all to yourself. If it wasn't for your father, you wouldn't have any of this, Selena parried. How dare you? He got up from his chair. Honey, calm down, Katie interjected. She knew what her husband could be like when he was angry. Okay, I'm sorry, but this situation has pissed me off, he exhaled and sat back down. It's my choice, not yours, Selena continued. You're not going to be with him, his father said as if he was just asking for a drink of water. Who said that? The girl was furious now. I said it, you're underage, so I can decide for you. Billy was now talking as if he was talking to his subordinates. You have no right to make decisions for me. I have my own opinion. Selena was getting angry. I'll take everything away from you, understandably. If only you stay with him, shouted her father. I don't want anything from you, cried Selena, and got up from the table. Where are you going? Her dad yelled back at her. Away from you. She slammed the door to her room. Why would you do that? Katie tried to calm him down. Don't get involved. If he doesn't want to do it the right way, he'll do it the wrong way, thumped Billy on the table. And what are you going to do? Katie wondered. She knew this man was capable of many things. You'll find out later. He threw his napkin on the table and walked toward the exit. Billy, maybe you shouldn't, his wife shouted after her husband, but he didn't answer anything. He was very angry. The man came to the factory. He hadn't been here for a long time. Everything was done for him by the hired director, but when he needed to think about something or to rest, he came here. Hello, everyone greeted him, but he just nodded. Billy had his own office here, so he went straight into it. He called his assistant over, told her to call one number. Okay, it would be done in a few minutes, she promised. Billy waited. He sat in the office. 15 minutes passed, but it seemed like an eternity to him. Finally, the door opened and a uniformed man appeared. Hello, Billy. You wanted to see me? He asked him. Hello, Archie. It was his classmate who worked in the organs. Okay. He took off his cap and sat down across from his friend. I have a problem I need to get rid of. The official didn't look at him. Speak, we'll think it over, was ready for any well-paid workman. One kid is engaged in distribution, so he got my daughter hooked on it, he told him. You know where, to whom, and when. It looked like they had the scheme worked out. Billy wrote it all down on a piece of paper. Archie read it and burned it in the ashtray. So, the customer was waiting for an answer. Are you doubting me? Everything will be done beautifully, showed the guest to him with a gesture. I need it to be gone for a few years, was Billy's last request. Everything will be, the employee assured him. That's it then, payment upon fulfillment. Billy didn't want to talk to him anymore. The man left his office. He stayed there alone, but he wasn't there long. He went home. The daughter was gone, and the wife was washing dishes and cleaning up. When she saw her husband come home, she rushed right over to him. Don't mess with me today, he asked her. Okay, she only nodded and went back into the kitchen. Harry was at work when his co-workers showed up. While one told him why they were here, the other slipped everything he needed into his purse. What are you talking about? The guy didn't know what was going on. "Come on in." They took him under the arms. Harry stood in the middle of the garage. He were also too understandable. First, they inspected the personal belongings, after that the tools, and then the purse. "You're so fearless. I thought you were hiding it somewhere, but you're carrying it in the open," the officer grinned. A report was signed and Harry was taken to the police station. "Daddy, what's going on?" Selena came running home as soon as she found out. "How did you know something was going on?" Lily was surprised. "I don't realize you did this," she started crying. "Daughter, I had nothing to do with it. I told you he was no match for you." He approached the girl and wanted to hug her, but she took his hands away. "If you have nothing to do with it, then help," she asked him. Tears were already running in streams. "Why should I help some junkie?" He didn't understand. "You said you had nothing to do with it, didn't you?" Her eyes got big. "And what? Nothing changed," he hummed, and sat back in his chair. "How do you know you're a junkie then?" Selena shouted so much that her mother came running. "That's it, daughter. Go and mind your own business, and forget about him. You'll have plenty more of those." He waved him off. "What's wrong?" asked the mother to Selena as they walked out. When she told her, the woman was also surprised, but somewhere she was in solidarity with her husband. "I can't believe Daddy would do such a thing," Selena cried. "How did you find out?" Katie couldn't understand. "When Harry didn't come to the meeting, I got worried. I called. The phone was unavailable. I went to his house. His mother told me everything." Selena cried again. "Jesus, daughter." The woman hugged her. "Okay, if he is so, I will act against the father," squinted her daughter's eyes, turned around, and left the house. "Where are you going?" Her mother only had time to shout, but the door had already closed and no one heard her. "Why did you do it?" she asked her husband later. Now her daughter might turn her back on us forever. Now her husband will be in prison. After that she will sing differently, he said, grinning. "You don't know her, she's proud," Katie said. "If she needs money, she'll come running," Lily said smugly. Selena, meanwhile, was on her way home to Harry's house. She went to the door, knocked, and was opened by a crying woman. "Hello again," she said hello to her. "Come in, Selena," was the woman inconsolable. They went into the kitchen, drank tea, talked about what to do next. Nothing was decided. "Can I stay with you tonight?" Selena asked. Of course, the woman had planned to go to her father the next day to ask him. All night, neither woman could sleep a wink. They just lay there, silent, each thinking about their own things. In the morning, Harry's mother got up. She was getting ready. "Where are you going?" Selena asked her. "To your father's," she spoke in a confident tone. "It's no use," Selena shook her head. And who are you and Harry to each other?" suddenly asked the woman. Earlier, the son, in order not to upset his mother, said that they were friends. "You don't know anything?" The girl was surprised. "No," the landlady shook her head. "We are friends." At this point, the woman exhaled. Selena confirmed her son's words. What was the mother to do? She collected all the money to hire a lawyer. Selena helped her. But no one helped the guy. He got 4 years. He could have gotten 8, the lawyer said afterwards. "What can I say?" the woman cried. Harry was taken away, not far away, so Selena could freely go to him on dates. She specifically told her parents that she was enrolling in another city, did it, and herself, so that no one would know, visited her lover. "Didn't you tell your mother that we were dating?" she asked him when she first came to visit. "No, why should I? Your father's known, so she'd worry?" He looked scared. "You know, when she asked me what's going on between us, I told her we were friends," Selena said. "That's good. Let her think so," smiled Harry, who was already getting scared for her. The two of them were very good together. Selena came to see her lover as soon as possible. She loved this man with all her soul, and she didn't care what kind of future she had with him. "Selena, why don't we get married?" Harry asked her one day. "I agree." She didn't even think for a minute. Then we need to arrange to have it all arranged here, the guy worried. Okay, I'll try. She was ready for anything, just to be with her lover. They could meet and just be silent for hours, because with some people silence is interesting. About informing her parents about the wedding, the girl didn't even think about it. She would come home for a while so they wouldn't start looking for her or anything. But Harry's mother, she did call. "Oh, Selena, hi. Well, tell me how you're doing." The woman was happy to hear from her. "I'm fine, Aunt Ariana, and Harry and I are getting married," she said, and waited to see what the woman would say in response. "How married? Your friends? I thought you were just helping him out like that." The woman's voice trembled. "Why? Are you against it?" The girl didn't understand. "Not that, but I advise you not to hurry," the woman asked her. "Are you also against our communication?" The girl was ready to cry. She was getting hysterical. "Calm down, my girl. Just please take your time," Harry's mother asked her. "Okay, I don't know what you want to do, but we are determined to do it." Selena disconnected. After that, everyone's mind was a complete mess. Ariana was determined to go to Billy's in the morning. She pulled herself together, exhaled, and opened the apartment doors. "Hi, I'm here to see Billy," she told the girl at the front desk. "He's busy," she said without even lifting her head. "It's okay, I'll wait." Ariana sat down on the chair. "He won't be free all day," said the secretary. "Everyone says so, but he is a human being. He will still have some natural needs to eat, to go to the toilet." The woman was adamant. "Okay, now," picked up the phone, the one who sat behind the desk. "Well, what is it?" Ariana surprised herself. She had never acted like this before. "Come in," said the girl. "Thank you," got up from the chair and walked into the office woman. At that moment, all her confidence evaporated. She didn't know what to do or how to behave. "Hello," she looked at him. He hadn't changed much. "Come in, sit down." Billy thought he was just another local to ask about water, heat, gas, or something else. "Billy, I've come to see you about my son Harry." Ariana looked at him. I didn't understand, at which point he broke away from his paperwork and looked at her. "A friend of your daughter, Selena's," the woman explained. "If you're asking for my help, I'm not involved," he said gruffly. "Please listen to me," she begged. "I have nothing more to say to you. Come out, or I will call security," he said icily. "I could have come earlier, but I didn't dare, and now it's serious." She decided to go with the trump card. "And what is serious?" He thought something had happened to the guy in detention. "Our kids want to get married," she blurted out. "What? How is that possible?" He thought Selena had already calmed down, because she came home often, talking about her studies and her other activities. She goes to see him on dates, and yesterday she called and said that they decided to tie themselves legally right there. Ariana was practically screaming already. "The only way I can stop it is to have them banned from dating." He tapped his pen on the table. "That won't change much," the woman cried. "What do you know? That's it. I don't want to talk anymore. Go away." He brushed her off like a fly. "Harry's your son." She got up from her chair. "What are you talking about?" Billy looked at his visitor like she was crazy. "It's true." She shook her head. "Look at you. What a dump you found yourself in." He pointed at her from head to toe. "Years ago, I worked as a cleaner at your father's firm. You were there late at night, and as you were leaving you bumped into me," she began to tell him. Billy calmed down a bit then. He started to remember. He looked at her again. "You do realize I'm going to check it out, right?" he hummed. "Why would I lie to you?" She didn't understand. "Okay, now go." He kicked her out of his office after all. Ariana walked down the street and cried. She would have never admitted it if it wasn't for this whole circumstance. Then, when Billy dragged her into the back room and threw her there, she got up, went to the restroom, cleaned herself up. She went home through the service entrance so no one would see her. At home, she cried all night, called her mom. "Hi, can I come over?" She asked her. Why do you ask? Of course, come over. Mom was afraid her daughter had something wrong. Ariana called the next day at work, said she was quitting, and went to her parents' house. She stayed with them for a month and was on her way home when she realized she was pregnant. Mom, I think I'm expecting a baby, she said to the woman she was closest to. From whom? Her mother was stunned. Yes, I had a boyfriend, she lied. What do you think you're going to do? The woman wondered then. Nothing, give birth. Ariana was surprised by her question. What, you regret it? Her mother asked question after question. No, I loved Max so much, and I wanted to have children with him, but he died and left me nothing. I know for sure that I will have no one but him, so at least I'll leave a child, said the daughter to her mother, and cried at that. Do as you know. My father and I will support you in everything, her mother reassured her then. Ariana decided to stay with her parents during her pregnancy. She gave birth in the same city. She came home when Harry was almost 6 months old. Her mom asked to go with her, but no one took her with her. Ariana wanted to bring up her son by herself, but the grandparents were not forbidden to visit. So, poorly, she raised her boy on his feet. When he went to kindergarten, she got a job there as a nanny so that he was always in her sight. When he went to school, his mother did not follow him, so she worked in the kindergarten. All this she remembered at home when she looked at the album where her son was small. And now, how did he happen to meet Selena? Why did that family give them nothing but trouble? In the meantime, Billy had ordered a biological test from the boy and had also taken his own. Now all they had to do was wait for the results, and then everything would fall into place. Why are you so nervous? His wife asked him at home. I can't say yet. He didn't want to tell anyone anything ahead of time. Okay, I'll wait. But you calm down, you're not taking care of yourself at all, she said. Kathy, I don't want to talk to anyone yet, he answered her gruffly. His wife just stepped aside. Okay, I'm not telling you anything. She realized that when her husband was in that condition, there was no need to say anything. And Billy waited. The days dragged on. He couldn't do anything. Sometimes his head started to hurt so badly that it seemed that only an axe could help. Finally, he got a call from the clinic, inviting him and Ariana to get the results. Ariana, hello. The man spoke to her in a different way. Good afternoon, she said politely. Listen, the results are ready. We need to pick them up. We are invited, he said, and his voice was shaking. Okay, I'll come straight there, the woman said and hung up. Billy was as anxious as a schoolboy before an exam. He was waiting for Harry's mother to arrive, and she walked through the doors. After that, they were given envelopes. The man looked at the woman. She was calm. Aren't you worried? He asked her. Why should I be worried? It's going to say 99 and 9. I'm sure of it. She looked at him with a winning look. Let's see. Billy was sweating. He opened the envelope. He immediately ran his eyes down the page. It did say 99 and 9, and continued with the 9s. So, are you going to help your son now? She asked. Why didn't you say anything before? He asked tearfully. Why did I have to say something to make you think that we need something from you? She didn't understand. I'll take care of it. He looked at his watch and pulled his cell phone out of his pocket. Archie, hi. We need to meet. Then he turned and walked away. Ariana didn't hear any further conversation. She stood and smiled, but she was able to prove to this pompous turkey that there is always a boomerang return in life. It's certainly not all done quickly, but we're doing the best we can, he said guiltily to Ariana. Thank you for that, but now we have to do something about the wedding. She reminded him of what started it all. Yeah, now that it's out in the open, come to our place this weekend. Selena's coming too. We'll talk about it, he suggested. Okay, I hope the girl is smart. She won't resist. It will make it worse for her, Ariana said, and walked out of the hospital with her head held high. Billy was so happy. He'd always wanted a son, and now he had one. And not some orphanage kid, but his own. He wanted to share the news with someone, but he didn't know who to confide it to. So he came home and went up to his mother, who was still lying in bed. "Hi, sweetheart, are you all right?" he asked her. "Not anymore. I'm so used to this pain that I don't feel it anymore." She reached out her hand to her son, and he sat next to her on the bed. "Can you imagine? I have a son." He began to tell the woman how it all turned out. "Wow, listen, the firm is registered to me. I want to leave it to my grandson. It's my last wish," she said, and she seemed to have run out of strength. "I don't mind," Billy smiled. Selena called home before the weekend, saying she was coming over. Before that, she'd gone to Harry's house and was told there would be no date. She asked why, and was told that the guy had filed an appeal, and it had been granted, and now all charges against him were dropped. The girl didn't understand what was going on, but it was to her advantage. "Ariana, Selena's definitely coming, so we're looking forward to seeing you this weekend for a visit," Billy called her. If you thought back to how he had interacted with her a few days ago and today, you could see a colossal difference. "Okay, I'll be there Saturday night. What about Harry's case?" It was more interesting to her than talking to Selena. "It's all right. Some formalities will be resolved now and he'll come home too," the man spoke calmly. "I'm glad of that," the woman smiled. On Saturday, she got up early, cleaned herself up, and was ready to go, but looked at the clock, which showed only noon, stopped. Ariana went out to the courtyard. There were many women sitting on the benches, some she knew, some she just knew. "Ariana, hello. We heard the official helped your son," they said. The woman had heard it before, but the news didn't report it. "What's the big deal? He'd help you too if you asked," she said. "That Billy's the kind of guy you can't ask for snow in winter," they said. Now Ariana didn't know why she was sticking up for Billy. "What did you say to him to make him do it?" "We've seen Harry and his daughter. They've started picking up gossip again." "What else have you seen?" Ariana didn't want to be a part of this mess. Maybe that's why he helped her, because he's going to be a son-in-law soon, the neighbors thought. "And you didn't think that my son was innocent of anything?" Ariana looked at them reproachfully. "Oh, so if they arrested him, he must be guilty," they began to snort. "Think and assume as much as you like," the woman said. She got up from the bench and walked away. She thought that while she was walking to Billy's house, it would be just about the appointed time. "Hello." She came to visit the man she had hated for years. "Come in, and Selena hasn't arrived," he said sadly. "So maybe she went to Harry's?" Ariana worried. "I hadn't thought of that." Lily's eyes raced. "Call," the woman asked. Now, the father dialed his daughter's number. She didn't answer. He got nervous. "Hello, what's wrong?" Katie came out on the porch. "Honey, meet Ariana. This is Ariana, Harry's mom," her husband told her. "Are you being serious now?" She didn't understand. "Why not?" He didn't understand her. "Well, hello there, I'm Katie." She held out her hand. After that, everyone went into the house to find out where Selena was missing. Her phone still wasn't answering. Her parents and more than a few were nervous. What happened? She might not have come before, Katie wondered. "Everything will be known soon," Billy said quickly, and dialed the number again. Meanwhile, Selena stood at the big gate, waiting for her beloved to come out. Harry said goodbye to the people who had become close to him during all this time. He himself was in shock at what was happening. First, he was imprisoned without trial. Now he was also being released, but he didn't say anything to anyone. "That's it, bro. Take care of yourself." They shook hands. The young man went out of the gate. He was met by his beloved, and even though he spent some time here, in places not so remote, the guy knew exactly where he had to go and what to do. "Alright, Selena, my love, I'm back." He hugged her. "Oh my God, I missed you." She hung on to him. "Don't, it's all over now," they hugged. "Let's go to my house. I have such news for my parents that now they will not turn away, she told him between kisses. Harry didn't mind, on the contrary. He wanted to tell his fiancée's father that justice still existed. And no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't do anything about it. On the bus, Selena just clung to the guy and didn't let go until they reached their destination. And then they got off, got into a cab, and drove to a familiar house. Okay, it's getting late. I'm going to go. Ariana stood by the door, saying goodbye to Billy and Katie. Okay, we'll call you as soon as we know anything, they promised her. At that moment, they all heard the gate open and someone walked in. Quietly, Billy put his finger to his lips. What? The women didn't understand. It's Selena. He held his finger up. They opened the front door, and Harry and Selena were indeed standing on the doorstep. Mom, what are you doing here? Didn't understand the young man. We're waiting for you. She looked at her son. She wanted to hug him so badly, and tears Ariana could barely hold back. I mean, how did you know, in general, what's going on? Harry asked, and Billy stood looking at the boy. He really saw some resemblance to his father. Come in. Katie was the only one who was in a calm state of mind and could control everything. She didn't know anything yet, but what she was about to find out now, she had no idea. Since guests were expected in this house, the table was set. Everyone made their way to the large room and sat down at it. Did you guys know we were coming today? Selena didn't understand anything either. Well, you come every weekend. Dad found something to say. Well, you don't grate me like this every time, do you? She pointed to the table. You see, we got company tonight. Billy pointed at Ariana. I don't understand. I was coming here to tell you what I think of you. And here's my mother. You probably came here for the same thing, didn't you? The son turned to her. Okay, I'm about to make a statement. Probably a lot of people at this table will be shocked by it. Billy got to his feet. No, I'm going to make a statement first, Selena said, and stood up as well. Okay, go ahead. Wanted to hear what her father had to say. Harry and I are getting married, and no one can stop us from doing it because I'm pregnant. She looked down at everyone. Billy and Ariana looked at each other, the man's eye twitching. It's impossible, he said in a shaky voice. We're not going to ask anyone, are we, love? Celine looked at the young man, seeking support in him. Yes, he nodded. Okay, kids, let me tell me. Billy couldn't take it anymore. He felt like his heart was about to stop. His daughter and son were about to become husband and wife. And the worst part of it all is they're having a baby. Well, talk already. Tired of waiting for Katie and wondering what happened. Here, the man put an envelope on the table. Katie took it in her hands, ran her eyes, which were bigger than usual. What is it, Mom? Selena snatched it out of her hands. Okay, alleged father. She read first the father's name, then Harry's, looked at them, then at Ariana. Probability of paternity, 99 and 9. Daughter, saw Katie start to slump. Harry managed to pick her up in time. What is this all about? He started yelling at his mother. You happen to be in love with your own sister. I do not understand how, where. The boy fidgeted, then froze. What? Ariana took his hand. So that's why they let me go, he guessed and grinned. What's going on? Selene came to her senses after fainting. You passed out. Her mother, who was sitting above her, told her. I don't mean that right now. The girl sat on the floor and looked at everyone at the table. It turns out Harry is your brother, Billy muttered. That can't be, roared Selena. I'm sorry, daughter. The man lowered his head. They're not related, Katie said quietly. What? All eyes were on her now. I'm sorry, but since it's such a serious matter now, I have to confess, the woman wasn't looking at anyone in the room. Speak. Billy was so pissed off that it couldn't be said. Before I met you, I was dating a guy. He courted, showered me with gifts, compliments, like that. He had no one home. I came over, and we had it all. And then he told me he only wanted me for that. I was bitter and hurt, but my pride didn't allow me to do anything. Katie began to tell me she had gone to the window, and now she was standing with her back to everyone. So, what, you've decided to take advantage of me? Billy guessed. I'm sorry, but just when I was about to kill myself, you got in my way, and everything started to develop so quickly. I thought, why miss such a chance? So I agreed to everything, to intimacy, and to the wedding. She turned and looked at her husband. You know, if I had listened to this story under different circumstances, you wouldn't be standing here right now. But now, he looked at the children. If there had been other circumstances, you would never have known about it, his wife told him. Understandably, he wanted to break something. The way life had turned out. The son he'd always wanted so badly was brought up in poverty, with some woman, and he was bringing up a daughter who wasn't his own. Yes, parents, you've made a mess of things, Celine said. At that moment, they heard some kind of squeezed scream. Mom, Billy jumped up. He ran to her room. Everyone rushed after him. What happened? Katie went over to her mother-in-law's bed. But there was no one to answer. The woman was dead. Emergency, ambulance, the man shouted. For a while, everything that was happening in the house was forgotten because everyone was doing other things. But when the funeral was over, the family gathered again, including Ariana and Harry. So at first I was going to buy you a separate house, but I've changed my mind, Billy began to say. And what did you change your mind? Selena wondered. It will be some time after the funeral, and we'll have a wedding. And then, like Kathy and me, you'll come to live with us in this house, he told the young people. I don't need your handouts. I'll earn my own money, Harry said proudly. Of course you will. I even know where. He put the sheet in front of him that was transferring the firm to him. What's this? The boy didn't understand. You could say the place where you were conceived. Billy turned to Ariana. I don't understand, and I don't know anything about these things, said the young man. It's all right. I was once a young man like you. There's a lot of helpers, and you don't need me. He came over and gave the boy his hand. I'll shake it for you, but don't think I'll take it like a father, Harry told him proudly. All of me took his hand and hugged Billy. With that, Ariana quietly got up from the table and was about to leave. Where are you going, lady? Billy turned to her. Home. What am I supposed to do here? She didn't understand. Your home is here now. The father of her child smiled at her. Why are you deciding for me? She didn't understand. Because you, like us, will soon have a grandson or granddaughter, and the young ones will need the help of grandmothers, the man explained to her. Okay, I'll just go and get everything I need. She left the house and went to her place. She took her time, spending a few more weeks at home until Harry came to pick her up. Son, can't you do something without me? She asked him. Mom, if you don't go there, I won't stay there either, he hugged her. Okay, she grabbed her things, which weren't much, and they left the apartment. On the bench outside the entrance, the local gossipers were gathered again. Ariana, is it true that your Harry is now the owner of the firm? They whispered. How would you know that? The woman wondered how quickly rumors spread in this town. The whole town is talking about it. It turned out that he is the son of that official Billy. And when only you had time, they shook their heads. That's none of your business. The woman got into the car. They drove to a familiar house. The months passed quickly. Selena's belly was growing by the hour. Everything was ready for the wedding. Of course, it was necessary to wait a little longer, but no one wanted the child to be born out of wedlock. So 6 months after the funeral, it was decided to have a wedding. Look at me. I'm like a broad on a samovar, Selena said as she stood in her wedding dress in front of the mirror. Do you want to just sign now, and then we'll have a real wedding? The father asked his daughter. Harry, are you okay? She turned to the groom. I'm in favor. I don't need this banquet at all, he said. He was getting tired of it all. Then I'm in favor of the proposal, Selena said. And already on Saturday, Near the registry office, there were only 2 cars. Harry and Selena signed, only parents were present. After that, they went home to celebrate, because Selena was already on such a term that everything could start suddenly. Mom, her daughter came to her at night. What's wrong? The woman didn't understand in her sleep. I think it started. Katie looked. There was indeed a wet trail behind her. Hurry, Billy. Call an ambulance. The woman shouted. She took Selena to get dressed. Harry was preparing the bag, which was already prepared. Together they drove to the maternity hospital because they were worried about their wife, daughter, and daughter-in-law. Shouldn't we have stayed home? Billy asked everyone. Were you home when I was in labor? Katie asked him, and then she hesitated, remembering why he had come to the hospital with them. You're right, we'll wait, he nodded. Everyone was sleep-deprived, yawning, Harry dozing at the wheel. Which one of you is the daddy? A nurse approached the car. Unfortunately, what? The young man didn't understand him. He had a massive heart attack. We were not able to save him. The doctor mumbled. He did not look into his son's eyes. That can't be. Sat down and covered his face with his hands. Better go to your wife. She's having a hard time too, the doctor advised him. Billy remembered about Katie and rushed to the neighboring ward. She was lying on the bed. Some apparatuses were attached to her. Sweetheart, how are you doing? Asked her inconsolable husband. How is your father doing? She asked practically with only one lip. He's dead, he didn't think, and said Billy. At this point, Kathy felt so bad she couldn't contain herself. What did you say to her? At that moment, a nurse came running into the room. Sorry, the young man's eyes widened as he saw how bad his wife was feeling. He had been forced out of the room where labor had begun. Everyone feared a dire outcome because things were not going as well as they should have. What happened next, Billy didn't know. He didn't have the physical or emotional strength to bear it all. 2 people he loved dearly were now in the hospital, and one could no longer be saved. He was sedated and taken to a room to get some rest. Daddy, wake up. Billy felt himself being pushed. Oh yeah, he couldn't figure out where he was. Congratulations, you have a daughter. Only now you won't be able to see your wife or child, because both are in intensive care. The nurse shocked him at once. What about them? His mind cleared up immediately. He remembered last night. The woman had a cesarean. Her blood pressure dropped and then went up a lot. And the baby is very weak, sick, she explained. Okay. Billy came to his senses completely. He decided that since there was no way to get to his wife and daughter now, he needed to take care of the father. He got ready, went home. His mother was in a state of distress. Where were you? Why didn't you answer the phone? What about Dad and Katie? She asked a lot of questions at once. She had circles under her eyes. It was obvious she hadn't slept. Mommy, sit down. He took her by the shoulders and put her in a chair. Woman tried not to listen to them. Yes, her life turned out the way it did, and she does not regret anything. Kolenka, run here. Ariana held out her hands to him when the boy began to run in the walker, and the boy ran to them. Now often the whole family vacationed here on their property, and everyone seemed to love each other. The one I thought was a poor kid turned out to be a millionaire, and the one I was sticking up for turned out to be a millionaire, Billy often said to Harry and Selena. Yes, it's interesting, you're my father and father-in-law, and Selena's father and father-in-law, Harry laughed. Billy had taught him a lot lately. Now the boy was doing as well as any businessman, but he still often turned to his father for help.